Canadian professional football on CTV. The Western Conference semifinals playoff preview, live from Calgary's McMahon Stadium.
Hello again, everybody. This is Johnny Esau with Peter Young and Bill Stevenson, inviting you to join us for the next half hour here in chilly McMahon Stadium as we get ready for this Western semifinal. If I didn't know better, I'd say it's an old-fashioned Saskatchewan-Calgary final where the weather and the final pump of the ball game would usually determine the outcome. But 34,000 fans will be in the stands by the time the kickoff is ready, and they'll warm up the atmosphere a great deal. A great gang of the guys are in from Vancouver to see those BC Lions on. The Calgary Stampeder fans with their hats and their helmets and their red and white scarves. They're all here and they're all ready to go. It's going to be a very exciting day. The Stampeders coming off the 4-game win streak. The BC Lions trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. When you put it all together, it makes for a great Western semifinal, as these Western playoffs usually are. Now, over to Peter.
Thank you very much, Johnny. You know, it all started in the warm summer days of training camp, but it comes down to this one. The weather isn't great, but the stands are filled with electricity, and both clubs are ready to go. Just a little bit later, I'll be talking with the Calgary Stampeder coaching staff and a couple of their players. First, let's check out the BC Lions with Bill Stevenson.
You know, despite the fact that the BC Lions had some injuries, they came up with some of the most exciting and closest games that we're seeing this season. We're going to take a look at some of those games and some of the exciting moments of the Lions. The BC Lions open the season July 11th against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's Larry Key over left tackle 2 yards. That gives BC a 6-3 lead on their way to a big runaway victory of 28-4 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The second game is July 17th against the Montreal Alouettes. Once again, it is Larry Key, the speedback, over right tackle this time, 10 yards, the first touchdown of the game, and the Lions are on their way. On July the 24th, it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Taggy hits big Harold Holt for 19 yards. That puts BC ahead 15-7, and they go on to win this game 19-18. July 31st, BC over Saskatchewan 24-15. Larry Key can't find a hole over right tackle, goes wide, a couple of yards, and that touchdown clinches the victory and puts BC in first place. On August the 7th, one of the fine games of the season as Edmonton and BC battle to a 14-14 tie. Leon Bright, this 16-yard pass for the touchdown, and ties the game at 7-7 at that point. On August the 28th, Calgary and BC in another one of their thrillers. Taggy to Terry Bailey, 25 yards for the touchdown. It ties the contest. Now this play, certainly a key of the BC season. Taggy is injured, must leave the contest, and in comes Joe Pau, who is the story of the second half of the season for the BC Lions. Maybe the key play of the year. Jimmy Young, his first reception of the season, 11 yards, touchdown, the win for BC 18-17. There were thrillers all the way for this BC club. This was 17-15. Pau, a hitch pass to Tyrone Gray, sent in from the bench by Mike Knott. Then on September 22nd, BC ran up a big score over Toronto. Leon Bright starts it off in a hurry. 101 yards by this brilliant punt returner. BC's ahead 12-0. Then John Henry White with an 8-yard run as BC wins it 34-25. Here's another one of those thrillers against Winnipeg. The final score 22-21. Pau to Harold Holt, the first touchdown of the game. And now if you're picking out key plays, this certainly would have to be one of them. Mike Holmes of Winnipeg can't find the handle. He fumbles. The ball is recovered by Mark Houghton. End zone for the touchdown. And BC win it 22-21 over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is how the rest of the season games went for BC. The notable point being they were exciting, thrilling, mainly offensive contests all the way. For the fans, just tremendous entertainment. And so the final standings for the BC Lions, 9 wins, 6 losses, 1 tie, 19 points. That's how they got third place and this semifinal berth against the Calgary Stampeders this afternoon. And now Vic Rapp The head coach of the BC Lions, the club that you saw performing so many great performances in the final moments of the game. It's been a very exciting season for you, Vic, but you're going into a semifinal game now in which this wind has to concern you.
Well, it does, Bill. I think a win can be a leveling factor in a football game. I just hope that we don't let it affect us too much, but it's going to affect the kicking game probably more than any single factor.
Will that not be an advantage for you with your kicking?
Well, I hope, but again, you never know, because if one catches the wind and blows back in your face, you can get the bad break. If I had my choice, I'd rather it was not windy.
You have said you're going to show some new offense. Now, what does that mean?
Well, we're going to break the formation a little more, Bill. We're going to do some things that we haven't done in the past a little bit. We're going to open up more on first down and not be maybe quite as stereotyped as we have been in the past.
Is that because you're concerned with this tough front four of Calgary?
It is. I think probably physically they may be a little better than we are, and I think we're going to have to do a few things to try to win.
Vic, I know that there's been a little consternation in the city of Vancouver, number one, talking about the fact that one article says a few of the players were complaining about the coaching. Has this affected the team going into this game?
No, not at all. I hope we take it out on the opposition today.
Make them mad?
I hope so.
All right. Vic Rapp, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Vic Rapp, the head coach of the BC Lions. And now let's go back to Johnny Esau.
Well, the wind is enough to make your hair stand on end here at the McMahon Stadium. As you can see from the flag there now, the wind is gusting to 26 to 28 miles an hour. The temperature is 36 degrees at the moment, and we're hoping that with the wind coming over the mountains, it may warm up a few degrees in the next few minutes. CTV's Western semifinal playoff continues in just a moment. One thing about these two clubs today, the BC Lions fumbled more than anybody in the Western Conference, and the Calgary Stampeders recovered more fumbles than anybody in the Western Conference. Put those two together and you're going to add up quite a few of them here this afternoon. But now we're ready to go over to Peter Young and talk about the Calgary Stampeders.
Thank you very much, John. You know, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we were anticipating being in BC for this game. It hasn't worked out that way because of the last few games in the year. We're in Calgary, and they are hosting the semifinal, and here is why.
The Stampeders head into the 79 schedule, highly rated and anxious to avenge their loss to Edmonton in last year's Western Final. And they start out fast with victories over Winnipeg and Montreal, but then lose big against those Eskimos 4-9. That sets up an August 8th encounter with the Ottawa Roughriders. Calgary going into the game in third place and needing a victory to maintain pace with both Edmonton and BC, who tied the night before. Ottawa, meanwhile, are tied at first in the East with the same record as Calgary, 2-1. Tom Ferzani scored the first touchdown for the Stampeders, but their big break came early in the game when Reggie Lewis picked up a fumble and went into the end zone for the Stamps. Then, clinging to that lead, the Stampeders get another break. A fumble recovered by Calgary, and they go in to score the touchdown that puts them too far ahead for Ottawa to regroup. Richard Crump, who was with the Stampeders then and finished, oddly enough, with Ottawa, goes into the end zone, and the Stampeders win 27-17. On August the 15th, Calgary is still in third place, and they host the BC Lions. The Lions at this point in first, 3 up on the Stampeders. Willie Burden makes the most of that effort, scoring after the short pass. Then with Ken Johnson in at quarterback, number 19. And still trailing in the ball game, 9-7. Big Willie Armstead fights his way down to the 2-yard line. From then, number 33, Richard Crump dives over the pile. Calgary goes on to win by a score of 22-10. They're still in third place on September the 23rd, hosting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and needing this game to get back in contention for first place. Willie Armstead all alone on that touchdown pass. But the Bombers fight back, and a very controversial play gives Calgary a 28-23 victory. On September the 30th, the big rematch. After 3 years of frustration, it looked like the Stampeders might be able to beat the powerful Edmonton Eskimos. The Stamps were still in third place going into the game. But Willie Burden scored early, then Tom Forzani scored to break an 11-11 tie. Big play, last minutes of the game. Larry Heibaugh fumbles a punt with the score tied, and diving over the pack is Willie Burden to give the Stamps that victory. Game 14, October the 20th. BC and Calgary once again. Low scoring in the first half. The Lions held a commanding 20-8 lead going into the second half. But Calvin Kirk scored on a 25-yard touchdown pass to give the Stampeders some life. Then watch what happens as Kirk busts a 94-yard punt return when he was seemingly stopped 2 or 3 times. Morehouse 44 and Pasaglia 5 have him completely cornered, but somehow Calvin Kirk escapes and dances down the sidelines. They still were within striking distance only, and it took a big play when John Henry White, the very reliable receiver, is hit and drops the ball. Always alert number 28 Terry Irwin scoops it up, and he will go all the way into the end zone, and that ties the football game at 30-30 in the fourth quarter, a game the Lions seemingly had wrapped up very early in the contest. Still thinking that they could move into second place, Ken Johnson throws over the middle to Tom Forzani. Stampeders win it 37-32 and move into second. Only 2 weeks left in the schedule. Jack Gotta wants that Western semifinal home game advantage. He gets a chance against Toronto. Willie Armstead scoring. Calgary beats Toronto 28-12. In the last game of the season, they maul the Saskatchewan Roughriders 41-8 to finish in second place, 5 points ahead of BC, 2 behind Edmonton, and that's why they host the semifinal today.
And Jack Goda is the man that's taken this team to that record. Coach, you look at some of those highlights, they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy, Peter, that it's all over now. It goes down to the 2.5 hours that we got coming up right now. Everybody, the 6 teams that are left are all 0-0, and we start a new season today. So I know we got a good football team. I know that we got a heck of an opponent in here today. Consequently, it should be another wing dinger.
You know, I mentioned a little bit earlier, it wasn't until the last couple of weeks that we really knew we were going to be here for this game. I think throughout the season it looked for a while like it might have been played in Vancouver, and I think that the game you beat them out in Vancouver really turned it around and gave you this home field advantage.
That's right. We played with a lot of determination that particular evening. I just hope that we can match that. If that's the case, then I feel good. With that team playing that way and playing here at McMahon, I think we're a pretty tough football club. On the other hand, I know anything can happen in playoff football, and usually does. So it's going to be some game, really.
How about the fact that that last game that you played against them was 5-3? It was like a hockey game for a while. All of a sudden it exploded and 70 points or something. Can that kind of thing happen in playoffs?
Yes, it can. You know, I think with the great number of outstanding athletes on the field on both sides today, I think that score from anywhere in the field because we have team speed on both clubs. You know, I think we have team speed, and I think the Lions have the quickest guys I've seen in this league.
We know we're going to find out in a few minutes' time, but are you going to take the win or are you going to take the ball to start this thing?
Yeah, it's their choice, baby. So they'll have the move, but I'll never give somebody the ball and the win, I'll tell you that.
Okay, thanks very much, Coach, and good luck to you and your ball club.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, Johnny, let's take it away.
Upstairs, Pat and Mike and Frank are all getting set to give you the story of today's exciting Western semifinal. And in just a moment, Bill Stevenson will be along to talk to some of the British Columbia Lions to find out how the players feel about today's important game. CTV's Western semifinal playoff preview continues in just a moment. as you can see, all the Alberta heat and energy is behind me, and they've got lots of it here to spare to keep the teams warm as they get ready for this Western semifinal. Bill Stevenson is about set now to meet some of the British Columbia Lions, so let's hear how they feel about today's game.
Well,
Bill?
John, after Jerry Taggy went down midway through the season, the man who did the big job for the BC Lions, whom the pressure was on, was quarterback Joe Pow. Joe, you felt a lot of pressure, I know, but I'm wondering if you feel more pressure than ever going into this game.
No, not at all. Our game plan has been to take it as one game as it comes along, and we're underdogs this game, so we're kind of loose, and we're going to try to fly around the ball.
Tell me, how do you like the Hawaii-style weather?
Oh, it's fantastic. I guess there's a first time for everything, and it's different, believe me.
But you could say that again. Tell me, how does the wind affect you? In other words, how do you pass, or what kind of a game will you call with this wind?
Well, if we go with the wind, I'm going to have to try to keep the ball down instead of taking off on me. And when we throw against it, I'm going to have to throw a little harder and keep the ball down because the wind will keep it up and give a good chance for the DBs to react. And they have a good secondary.
What has been most effective against Calgary this season in the games you've played?
Well, we've been trying to take advantage of their defensive line, which is their biggest asset. They have great front four, and their strength is in the two tackles, Dombrowski and McElhaney, and Lewis and Wazinski are outside conscious, so we're thinking of going off tackle.
So you'll do a lot of running and try to set that up first and then hope to go to the passing game. Is that correct?
Right. Try to get field positions as best as possible if we have the win with us, and try to utilize and capitalize on it.
And being an underdog is going to help you, you feel?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, you've got a great commercial for the Islands. Good luck, Joe Pow.
Thank you, Bill.
And now let's go to middle linebacker Glenn Jackson, a Canadian. I'll tell you, there aren't many Canadian middle linebackers, Glenn.
No, I'm the only one right now in all the CFL. This year, they started off with Ezrins in the middle in Winnipeg, but he didn't last here long. He was there for 6 games or something. They brought another American in. I played middle for the last 2 games, and so this will hope will be all right, too.
Well, it's an unfamiliar spot for you, of course. You say 2 games. Now, is that going to be a problem? Do you think they'll try to run at you as a result?
Oh, no doubt. I don't think they think that I can play in the middle, and I think that they're going to try to start running right up the middle at me.
This defense of the BC Lions has been maligned. Do you think unjustly so?
Yeah, I think so. I think the last 2 games, I think we've been coming up. We got enthusiasm back on the team. I think we're ready to go. Practices have been good all week. I think, with the young ball players in there, we only average a year and a half on the front defensive line. There's only one person that was there last year. But they're young and they hustle, and that's what we did in the beginning, so it's really good.
And now let me ask you about the weather, because I would think if it's going to aid anybody, it's going to aid the defense.
Yeah, it is. It's snowing right now, just little flurries, but I like it. It's not that cold. I like cold. Doesn't bother me, but other players it does. Running backs, they're from south, and they might like the cold, so it's an advantage for the defense, I think.
You're fairly new, as you said, middle linebacker. You've got a couple of new people up in the front 4. That has to be a bit of a problem, too.
Yeah, it is. We got Richard Murray playing at the right end, and we got Mike Blanton playing the right tackle, so the only people that I played with before is Nick Hebler at the left tackle and left end, which is Louis Richardson. But they're hustling. That's the main thing that we wanted, and I think it really helps along.
Glenn Jackson, good luck. Have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. I hope so.
All right. And now we're going back to Johnny Esau.
Well, after the snow earlier this morning, the wind started to pick up, and the wind has been blowing strong ever since about 10 o'clock this morning. But I'm wondering how a good thrower like Johnson with that rifle arm of his will be able to throw against the wind today. Let's find out.
Thank you, Johnny. And with us first is Ken Johnson. And Ken, I think that one of the big things is the fact that you hurt your knee very badly late last season, and your records this year, 241 completions, 19 touchdown passes. I don't think you even thought you'd be playing football about this time last year.
Well, I really didn't know about the severity of the knee injury, but I'm just real lucky, and it came back real good. I had a fine operation and worked on it hard, and I just consider myself real fortunate that my knee came back as well as it did.
Early in the season, did you have some fear that you were playing on a game-to-game basis? I'm sure that if you look back, you probably never thought you'd have the outstanding success that you did have this year.
Well, I felt confident going into this season. I knew my knee really came along about last April or May. Started feeling real good, and I got an excellent brace for it, and I get it taped up before every game. So I was confident about my knee and about football in general and quarterbacking all the way through.
You have to know that the team is depending on you today. You're the key to this thing, just as the quarterback for BC is for his ball club. And you have some outstanding athletes on both sides playing, and it's just going to be a great football game.
Well, we're going to dance with the lady that brought us here, really. We're not changing anything very much. We're basically going with the same good basic plays that we've used all year. We have a few new wrinkles, but we're basically going with our good old stuff.
You had some luck a couple of weeks ago in Vancouver working on the right side against the left side of their secondary. Maybe we'll look for that to happen again today?
Well, we'll just, I always believe in trying to take what a defense gives you. They might flip-flop their personnel, and they have some new people in there from what we played against, a couple weeks ago in Vancouver. So we'll just see how they line up and see what looks the best and attack them there.
All right, Kenny, you took him here by putting the ball up, and I guess we'll look forward to you doing the exact same thing today, although we know you'll keep it on the ground a little bit. Congratulations, and have a good game.
Thank you very much.
All right, surrounded by a little bit of controversy this week, Ed McElhenney involving the Shenley thing, but I know that's all behind you today. You're going to go out there and play the way you did all season, which was outstanding. You led the lead in sacks, and your entire defensive line could be a key to this one.
Yeah, I think so. The most important thing right now is the game itself, and we know that in order for us to do anything, we got to get by BC, so that's the main priority today.
Tell us something about that offensive line of the Lions. Do you look forward to playing against them? Is it the type of offensive line you can do some stunts and things with?
Yeah, well, mostly, they've got a big physical line, and we've had most success just going one-on-one with the guys. They're a lot bigger, I think, than most offensive lines in the league, but I think that in our last 3 games, we've been pretty much, able to handle them, and that's what we're going to try to do is just go out and beat them physically.
You think that the rush that you can put on Papa could be the key to this one? He is a rookie. He is playing in a very pressure-filled game today, and I'm sure that you fellas have talked about that.
Well, I know we watched them play against Edmonton, and they put a heck of a rush on them. They got a good defensive line, and they seem to have a lot of success, got them shaken up early, and we feel that if we can do the same thing, then maybe we can get them shaken up, and we can start playing our own ball game the way we want to.
Do you look for them to come out and throw the ball a lot, or do you look for them to run right at you, which might be the way that they're thinking they can win?
Well, I'll tell you, they got such a good offense. They're so explosive. They got real good receivers and backs, and we just sit down and wait for them to do whatever they want, and hope we can counteract the best we can.
Best of luck this afternoon, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back to Johnny Esau.
I want to thank Jack Gotta for sending over this pair of gloves. Good old kind-hearted Jack. Okay, we're going to have an opportunity to talk to some of the press and get some of their predictions for the outcome of today's game. And we'll do that right after we tell you that CTV's Western semifinal playoff preview continues in just a moment. Jim Taylor of the Vancouver Province with me, acting very nonchalant as though the weather wasn't bothering him. You haven't got me fooled at all,
I'm colder than hell, but I can go home after the game.
Jim, let's get your prediction about the outcome of today's game and why you think it'll turn out that way.
Well, I think it's a no bet, John. Really, you got the 2 teams that have fumbled more than any other teams in Canada playing in a wind tunnel. I think that the outcome very likely could be decided by the special teams, the kickoff return, the punt return people, and I think the Lions have a bit of an edge in that.
You like it that way?
Yeah.
Well, they've been the ones that have made it thrilling and come back. And okay, I want to ask you for any point spread, but we'll ask you about halftime. Okay, Peter.
Thank you very much, Al. And John, I have with me Al Ruckeber from the Calgary Albertan. And Al, you've been following this football team all season long. Maybe you can just tell us what you think is going to happen today.
Basically, I think, Peter, that Calgary and Edmonton are going to be in the Western Final for the second year in a row. Now, I'm no Stampeder fan, obviously, I can't be, but I see too many things that I think is going to be swinging in Calgary's direction. I see Calgary having won 7 of the last 8 games. I see BC on a 4-game losing streak. I see BC has a lot of lineup changes late in the season.
Okay, thanks very much, Al. Now let's go upstairs to Bill Stevenson.
And the entire Edmonton coaching staff is watching this game, including assistant Cal Murphy, who's a BC boy. Does that mean you pull for BC, Cal?
No, I just hope the team that wins is the team that we can beat next week in Edmonton.
Who do you like in this game?
I really don't know, Bill. It depends. With the wind blowing the way it is, if BC can control the ball when they're going against the wind and use Pasaglia's foot with the wind, it could make a difference. Otherwise, I think it's a toss-up, as the other 3 games with the 2 teams have been.
Well, the thing about this stadium is you never know where that wind's going to wind up.
Well, that's right. Like right now, you know, it blows one way and it'll start swirling, and then it'll die down and possibly blow in your face. And so you have to take the wind when you've got it.
All right. Thank you, Cal. Let's go back downstairs to Johnny Esau.
Well, Bill's going to be back in a moment or two at the Radio Shack Brute Fan Survey to see how the fans really feel about today's game. How do you feel, Peter?
Well, actually, John, you know, I don't like to be a pessimist for BC's sake, but I think they might be able to pull the upset.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter and Bill, and we'll be ready for the kickoff in just a very few moments.
The Western Conference semifinal playoff preview has been presented by the CFL on CTV.
This is the CTV Television Network.
Canadian Professional Football Playoffs on CTV. The Western Conference semifinal is brought to you by Canadian Pacific, owned by Canadians, working for Canadians, and by Labatt's, brewers of Labatt's 50 and Labatt's Blue.
It's showdown time in the Stampede City. The CFL on CTV presents the Western Sudden Death semifinal, the British Columbia Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Al McCann, greeting you from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And what an atmosphere we've got. It's windy, it's kind of chilly, and anything can happen today in this big ball game between the Lions and the Stampeders. The temperature is hovering around 4 or 5 degrees, but it's the wind that's a factor. Blowing at about 26 kilometers an hour and gusting, it's going to mean turnovers could be the key thing in the football game today. Let's go upstairs to our play-by-play broadcaster, Pat Marsden.
Welcome, because we've got a great football game for you this afternoon. We also have my regular partner, Mike Wadsworth, with me. And Mike, what is that beside you?
Well, I really don't know what it is, Pat, but all I can see is hat. I think maybe Frank Rigney's trying to hide something.
Well, Mike, you know, I'm from BC, and everybody knows that across the country, so I thought I'd put a cowboy hat on and try to even it up just a little bit. You know, talking about this football game, the BC Lions have had their troubles in the last month. They are a very, very explosive football club, probably the greatest team speed of any team in the CFL, but they found different ways to beat themselves throughout the year. For example, this play against these same Calgary Stampeders. An excellent completion on a screen pass to John Henry White. Bernie Morrison gets a piece of White, and watch what happens. They've done this kind of thing all along the last month of the season. That's why they're riding a 4-game losing streak that they talked about in the pregame show. They're just going to have to eliminate that kind of thing to have any chance against these second-place Stampeders today, Mike.
Frank, I think that the Calgary Stampeders have enjoyed the success thus far in the 1979 season because of an outstanding defense. One of the great individual performers this year was Ed McElhaney, an outstanding defensive tackle who has really provided them with a great pass rush. Also, their secondary is great. Ray Odoms on the corner has tremendous speed. Al Burleson in the deep middle, great hitting power. So the BC Lions are going to have a real contest in their hands with that strength defensively.
Let Pat do the prediction.
That's right.
I'm not going to do any prediction except to tell you this. At halftime this afternoon, we have a truly outstanding all-pro countdown show for you. It's the quarterback accuracy competition as the West's Dieter Brock goes up against the East's Conrad Holloway. I won't tell you what happens, but I will tell you don't miss it because it's a top-notch show. And stand by because the Brute Fan Survey is up next when the CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
At electric power sites in Canada, West German engineers are learning new techniques. They know Canadians have one of the most reasonably priced and reliable electric power services in the world. And like many other countries, they come to study our innovations, like the enormous power output achieved at this plant.
Well done, Canada.
Constant innovation. It's one reason Canadians enjoy one of the most reasonably priced and reliable electric power services in the world.
All right, let's go to the Brute Fan Survey and find out how the fans feel about the game. We have got a lovely gal who is from Oshawa but has become a confirmed Calgarian, Gail Smythe. And I'll tell you, Gail, I know that you're all for Calgary. I imagine the fans were too.
Oh, that's right.
Well, let's find out how they voted as far as today's game's concerned, okay?
Okay.
They decided that in this Western semifinal, the predicted winner on this is going to be, let's hit it again here as we have a total for the point spread. How many points we got, Gail? It's 6 points that they've decided Calgary is going to win by. I know you agree.
That's right.
Gail, the next one is let's see what's going to happen as far as that Eastern semifinal in Ottawa is concerned, okay? The Eastern semifinal, it's Hamilton at Ottawa. The predicted winner is Ottawa. No points. That's unusual.
It's going to be a close one. I think that's what the fans are saying.
They're saying it's no bet. It's no point spread. And finally, let's see who they think is going to be in the Grey Cup, Gail. In the Grey Cup, they decide that it is going to be Calgary and Montreal. Well, naturally, Calgary. And they say, who's going to win here? Of course, Calgary to win the Grey Cup. That wouldn't surprise Calgary fans, but it would surprise a lot of other fans across the country, Gail.
Well, yeah, we're the best. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Gail Smythe. And now let's go downstairs for our national anthem.
Would you please
rise and join Rubenham, Klaus Kratz, and the Trojan Band in the singing of our national anthem.
This is the CFL on CTV. We'll return for the opening kickoff in just a moment.
Every second that passes, your skin is losing moisture. And when your skin loses moisture, it looks rough and out of condition. Moisture. This product contains moisturizers to put back the moisture in your skin. Brute Light by Fabergé. Use it as a lotion after shaving, after showering, or as a light masculine fragrance after anything. Brute Light. It's the sensible way to fight dry skin and smell great.
I just can't wait. I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Oh no, I just can't wait. Can't wait for bows on Christmas packs. Can't wait to give a gift from Radio Shack. Can't wait to fill a Santa sack. Can't wait to give a gift from Radio Shack.
If you just can't wait to give, Radio Shack has a new breed of AM radios that are so lovable, they're hard to resist.
Can't wait. Radio Shack. Can't wait.
Well, we've told you that the wind is going to be a factor this afternoon. It has been a factor in the decision that the BC Lions have elected to kick off and force Calgary to have the wind in their face for this first quarter. Ball goes right through the end zone without anybody touching it, so it will come out to the 25-yard line, and that's where the Calgary Stampeders will put the ball into play after that 90-yard kickoff. All right, here's the way the Stampeders line up. You see Tom Krebs at center, Dave Kersinger, the left guard, a fine Canadian player, Mike Horton at right guard, number 67. A look at Miles Gorell, the man that the Calgary coaching staff feel made the best offensive lineman in Canada. Lloyd Fairbanks at right tackle. A very formidable offensive front wall for those Calgary Stampeders, as Ken Johnson will start at quarterback. He'll have James Sykes and Willie Burden, 11 and 10, as his two running backs. This is Burden. He cracks over the 25 to about the 28. He'll have a pickup of about 3 as Hebler and Blanton were there to make the tackle, the two defensive tackles for the BC Lions. Bob Vickers, the big tight end, had 24 catches this year. Kelvin Kirk had 3 touchdowns for his 29 catches. And there's the leading pass receiver, Tom Forzani. As you look now at James Sykes and Willie Burden, who was a little bit camera shy, but great running backs both, and Ken Johnson, who threw for 19 touchdowns this year. Johnson fires. The catch is made by Armstead. He'll have a first down out of the 37-yard line. The tackle made by Oliver, number 17.
Actually, pretty good coverage, Mike, by Frank Oliver, number 17, on Willie Armstead. Armstead has to make 2 catches, but once again, as we've talked about over the last month, and we've done a number of BC Lion games, not much of a pass rush on that first attempt. Johnson had time to throw it.
We remind you once again that Johnson is going into this wind at about 25 to 35 miles an hour at McMahon Stadium. Johnson to put it up again. Throws, no good. Looking for Armstead, so it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 37-yard line. As you look at Kenny Johnson, who came in last season, had that knee operation in the off year, and has come back strong as the number 1 quarterback of the Stampeders, pushing John Hufnagel to the number 2 spot. 56% completion record on the season, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Mike would rather anticipated the Stampeders to run the football or throw it short, and that certainly I think will hold true in this first quarter against a win. Would you agree?
Johnson over the middle. It is complete to James Sykes. He will not have the first down, only gained about 3 or 4 yards, as Paul Giroux, number 40, was there to make the stop.
One of the reasons, Frank, of course, they'd like to run the ball is try to test that linebacking core of the Lions. Glenn Jackson, outstanding as an outside linebacker, limited experience in the middle. But if you're going to try to pass in that area, I think Jackson will actually be able to come up with a big play because he's got a lot of mobility and range.
Great maneuverability. Also, they've got a very inexperienced front four out there today, Mike, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Mike McTagg kicking on 3rd and 7. It's a short one. Flags go down at the 45-yard line as Hinton makes the catch for the BC Lions and probably picks up a no yards penalty as well. Just a 26-yard boot into this win by Mike McTagg, a return of 2, but let's listen.
No yards, Calgary, first down BC.
Well, the no yards penalty will give the BC Lions excellent field position as they did the job. They contained the Calgary offense, gave them but 1 first down, and now take over in Calgary territory just outside the Stampeder 50-yard line. It's Joe Pow at quarterback, number 6, John Henry White, 20, and Larry Key, 11, are his 2 setbacks. Throws the screen out there to John Henry White. And good read by that Calgary defense because they are there to snow him under at about the 48-yard line, led by middle linebacker Ollie Bakken, number 50. Here's a look at that BC offense. Al Wilson, their perennial all-star at center. John Blaine, number 68, is the left guard. The right guard is Glenn Leonard, number 54. Larry Watkins, been around for 11 years. And there's Jim Lohman in his 2nd season. As Joe Pow prepares to pass, flag comes down. The reception is made by the newcoming tight end Ricky Ellis, number 7, but there was a flag down, and holding is the call against the Lions.
Mike, it appeared to me that Ken Dombrowski, number 62, the big tackle of the Calgary Stampeders, was a fellow that was held here. We take a look at it once again, you'll see that Glenn Leonhard, number 54, I believe the offensive right guard, will be the Lion guilty of that holding call, something that's really been a problem for them. Let's listen.
Holding, BC, number 54, 2nd down over.
Absolutely right, Frank. And you know, I'm somewhat surprised that the Lions are coming out throwing. Surely they have the wind at their backs, and that's one of the reasons why Joe Pow would be inclined to go to the air. But on the other hand, with the great outside speed that they have, and the fact that they feel if there is a weakness in Calgary, it's at the outside linebackers, I thought they would have tried to test them early.
It is 2nd and about 17 for the Lions back at their 52. Pow is decked back at his 42-yard line.
Reggie Lewis, the big defensive right end, does a great job getting by Larry Watkins. He has that tremendous outside speed, and he just used it to get around Watkins and in on Pow.
I'll tell you, one of the reasons he got in there so quickly is they had to double up on McElhenney, number 64, on the inside. Both Blaine and Wilson were blocking on the big, outstanding defensive tackle.
Well, Louis Pasaglia is likely to put this one into orbit. Let's watch. Hasn't come down yet as Forzani allows it to bounce into the end zone. And the BC Lions are going to go on the scoreboard first. We have played exactly 4 minutes of this opening quarter, and the BC Lions have jumped out in front 1-0 on that 78-yard boot by Louis Pasaglia, and we'll be back in a moment.
When do you know that you got it? When do you show that you got it? When you got it, you know it. When you got it, you show it. Hey, Pontiac, you got it. How does it feel when you got it? Do you reveal that you got it?
Pontiacs built for a changing world. From the value-packed economical Acadian to the commanding new look of the weight-reduced full-size Pontiacs. From the family-size Le Mans to the unique Trans Am with the guts and glory of available turbo V8. Or the all-new front-wheel drive Phoenix. You gotta know who's got it.
Hey, Pontiac, you got it.
'Cause nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it.
fans think that the Calgary Stampeders were born to beat the Lions. We're going to find out within the next couple of hours. Right now, BC out in front 1-0 as Calgary begins from its 35-yard line. There's the Sykes. Good gain by Sykes as he cracks his way out to about the 43-yard line. Nifty cut as he was there, finally snowed under by Louis Richardson and Frank Oliver.
Take a look at the BC defense now. Hebler and Blanton on the inside, both rookies, and Lou Richardson, the only member of that front four that's been there all year long. David Murray, or Richard Murray, I should say, provided some pass rush for them last week. Small but very mobile linebackers. Paul Girotti on the outside, number 40. John Beaton, very small for a linebacker, just over 200 pounds. And, of course, Glenn Jackson in the middle that we talked about before.
I like this hat. This is Willie Burden. Burden has the first down as he crosses the 45 to the 47. And the middle linebacker that we just saw, Glenn Jackson, there to make the tackle.
Very good inside fill by Glenn Jackson. On the previous play, he had overrun it a little bit. He was sure and measured the running back this time, came in and didn't let him get too far, but it appeared Burton got enough for the first down.
The ball is at the Calgary 47. They trail by a point as you look at Vic Rapp, a man who told me last night our club has to play flawless football to win. We've lost too many good people to be able to take it easy in any contest. And of course, that's been proven true the last 4 weeks. The give is inside to Willie Burton. And Burton gets about 3 yards as he reaches for the 50-yard line.
You know, we talked about the great speed, Pike and Matt and Mike, that the BC Lions have, and all 5 of these defensive backs, as you're looking at now, have great speed, and they all have at one time or another been on the specialty teams, with the exception of Doug Carlson, the safety.
You know, Frank, the only thing they need is a little help up front. I think the key may be whether or not this very young defensive line that you talked about is able to come up with a big performance, because as fast as those men in the backfield may be, they have to have some help with the rush.
I think they'll have to have linebackers firing in there to get some good pass rush, Mike.
Johnson throws. It is complete for the first down to about the BC 48-yard line. The tackle made by Carlson.
Well, you can't overemphasize the importance of these first downs that the Calgary Stampeders are picking up, because they're, of course, utilizing that clock. They're throwing very short, very simple patterns, just a little hook pattern to Willie Armstead there, who they've gone to a couple times. That's their 3rd first down in the first half of this first quarter against this severe wind.
Armstead had 48 catches on the year. He grabs another one for the first down at the BC 48-yard line for the Stampeders. There's to the first man, Willie Burton, but again, a good job by that front 4 and the middle linebacker of the BC Lions. The gain is only about 2.
Good block by young Krebs at offensive center here. He's handling the nose guard all by himself. That's Nick Hebler in this case, number 58. And Krebs does a good job on him. Allows the back to cut right off of him. Mike Blanton, number 79, gets in there and gets a piece of the action. Pickup is just about 3 yards, 2.5.
So let's make it 2nd and a short 8 if you prefer. The ball is at the 46.5-yard line. Johnson with all kinds of time. And Sykes is nailed short of the first down at about the 39. Now he had to get to about the 38-yard line, so he appears to be short by probably a half to a full yard. Devin Ford, number 16, was there to make the hit.
Well, we'll take a look at this offensive line of the Calgary Stampeders. We talked how vital it would be for them to get their quarterback protection. They're doing it right now, and as a result, the Calgary receivers are having success against that fine BC secondary. BC's had only one offensive thrust, although they've had the wind advantage, and they lost almost 25 yards. On the other hand, as you pointed out, Frank, the Stampeders moving the ball against this great adversity.
Well, we've got an injured BC Lion down on the field. It affords me the opportunity to tell you that it is 1-0. The BC Lions out in front of the Calgary Stampeders. The CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
Excuse me, I see you guys are having a John Labatt's extra stock. Do you mind telling me why? You see, I'm in the business, so I know a lot about this brand. It's the taste, right? No, listen, you can tell me. I know. Mellow to the taste, smooth going down, premium price, premium quality. You see, I know why you buy it. It's the taste, right? Pure and simple. Am I right or am I wrong? Excuse me, I see you're having a John Labatt's extra stock. Mind?
It's cool. It's not as though it was 20 below zero or anything, but I'm sure that the wind chill factor is right around the 0-degree mark because of the wind. It's about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, but the wind is blowing in the face of the Calgary Stampeders somewhere around 25 miles an hour. The Stampeders, incidentally, did pick up the first down by James Sykes at the 38. This is Sykes again as they tried to run a little draw play on the BC Lions, but they wouldn't bite, and as a matter of fact, they nailed Sykes for a loss back to the 40. Murray was there to make the tackle, number 71, the newcomer from University of Oklahoma. As you look at Louis Pasaglia, who sported a very impressive punting average this season, the tops in the CFL. 4 first downs for Calgary, none for the Lions so far. We've got 6 minutes 40 seconds left to play in this opening quarter. Johnson throws, an attempt at a spectacular catch by Bob Vickers, but he couldn't pull it down. He was whacked by Devin Ford.
You know, one of the reasons why that wasn't completed is that Johnson was a little high. Much better pass rush by the Lions. Girode, number 40, one of the people in there along with others.
Mike, that's exactly right. The reason they had a better rush is they brought their linebackers that time, and I think that's the kind of thing they're going to have to do consistently to get any pass rush on them. That front four is just not doing a job over the last 4 or 5 football games of getting to the opposing quarterbacks.
Mike McTagg is punting, and again it's a short one. However, he gets a very good bounce. This is Ford, and Ford is tackled at about the 12-yard line, so the Lions are going to start in a hole as Doug Battershill was down to make the stop. 33 yards to boot, thanks primarily to the roll and a 5-yard return.
We talked an awful lot about the Calgary defense, and here's a good look at them. Ken Dombrowski, a rookie tackle. Ed McElhaney, he's been outstanding. Lyle Woznezensky, acquired from the Bombers, has helped, and Reggie Lewis brings the big pass rush. Bernie Morrison on one outside, John Palizzetti on the other, maybe question marks. Ollie Bakken in the middle, very strong against the run.
First down for the Lions from the 11, and just hit right in the hole by Ollie Bakken. Was either Larry Key or John Henry White.
Well, we start this up just a moment. You'll see what a great fill this is by Bakken. He'll be coming into your picture right now. If you stop it right there, you'll see that he beats the block of the offensive left guard of the BC Lions, John Blaine, number 68, and just overpowers the BC Lions back. It's a loss of a yard for BC. They have done nothing but lose yardage offensively.
That was Larry Key, the ball carrier, loses a yard, so it is 2nd and 11. The Lions set up the screen to John Henry White, and he's nailed back at the 6-yard line. The Calgary defense really impressive to this point. John Palizzetti there to make the tackle on that play.
Did a tremendous job of knifing in on White. It appeared as if the blocking was forming. Palizzetti had dropped to his hook area, knifed in from the outside, and got White before he got a chance to get underway.
The BC Lions elected to give Calgary the ball. They wanted to put them in a hole and score some points in this first quarter. At this moment, they've managed only one as Louis Pasaglia drops into his end zone to punt.
Bet they've lost something like 30 yards in 2 possessions of football. As far as the Stampeders are concerned, the quarter is going exactly as they would like it to have done.
This is Tom Forzani at his 48, fumbles the ball around, and I believe Kelvin Kirk may have come up with it for the Stampeders, who will retain possession at about their 51-yard line. A 56-yard boot by Pasaglia and a 3-yard return after the juggling act.
Fumbles have been a big part of the play of both clubs. Stampeders there almost giving a very costly turnover. But you know, you can't count out the Lions just because they haven't impressed thus far. They're a club that comes up with big plays, particularly through their specialty teams.
Stampeders have already gained 50 yards offensively. BC is -10. This is James Sykes, and Sykes couldn't get around the corner because of the good play once again of Frank Oliver, number 17. He picks up about 4 yards, so let's make it 2nd and 6. And we've got another injured BC Lions player down on the field. Training staff comes out. It's a 1-0 score in favor of the Lions on a booming 78-yard punt by Louis Pasaglia earlier in this quarter. As you look at the injured John Beaton.
John Beaton previously saw experience as an inside safety Montreal Alouettes, Edmonton Eskimos. They now have him playing as a linebacker, although you might expect that the Stampeders might try to work against him, Frank, because he doesn't have big size. In fact, the Stampeders aren't a club that tries to run to the outside.
I'll tell you, they've tried to work against John Beaton from time to time all year long, but it just hasn't worked. But while we've got a timeout on the field, let's go down to Al McCann at field level.
You know, I think a small edge for the Stampeders could very well be the heater system they've got going here. It's pumping out a whole pile of heat at about knee level, and the players seem to be relatively warm. I think this could work to the disadvantage of the Lions, who opted apparently not to have this kind of a setup. It's really working good.
Al, it looks like you're not getting very far away from it yourself.
Well, you've noticed that, eh?
I don't like the look of this one as you look at the play made by Frank Oliver on the ball carrier, James Sykes.
Beaton number 10 right in the middle of that pileup would appear that would be in his right calf. You can see number 10 just over Frank Oliver, number 17 there.
Those pileups can be awfully dangerous, but John Beaton is now getting on his feet. Hopefully it was nothing too serious. He's not putting any weight on that right leg, though.
Well, I'd like to remind everybody that this program is copyrighted and is meant strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction in whole or in part without the express written permission of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited. Ron Morehouse comes in to replace John Beaton in that BC Lions defensive secondary. He wears number 44. And when I say the secondary, I should have said at the linebacking spot. It is 2nd and 6 for Calgary right from midfield. The draw to Sykes and nowhere to go. The Lions claim that they came up with the ball. Referee Blair Shallow says no fumble. Calgary will be punting.
That was the most impressive the Lions have looked so far. Morehouse, who just came into the ball game, got the initial contact on Sykes along with Paul Girodi, number 40. I think it's Girodi that actually stripped the football, but they called it dead. Calgary Stampeders, however, will have to kick it away with 3:32 remaining in this 1-0 ball game. The Lions lead at the moment.
Vic Rapp would like to get a little bit more of a lead while he has the win, Frank.
Tag again, a short punt. It rolls out at about the 35-yard line, so the Lions get a bit of a break there after only a 25-yard boot by McTagg, but it's a fearsome win. There's no question about that, and it is going to be a factor throughout this ball game. Right now, the Stampeders have done exactly what they wanted, as Frank pointed out earlier. They wanted to keep the Lions off the scoreboard from a touchdown point of view, and if they had to give up a couple of singles, so what? John Beaton on the sidelines after being injured 2 plays back. First down for BC from their 35-yard line. And again, Powell goes down, loses the football. Calgary has recovered, but there is a flag down on the field. We'll be back to find out what it's all about as soon as I remind you that the BC Lions are out in front 1-0. The CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
On this Canadian destroyer, about 250 men work as a team with some of the most advanced electronic equipment in the world, helping to keep Canada strong. If you've got what it takes, there may be a future for you in Maritime Command, full-time or part-time.
There's no life like it. There's no life like it. No, there's no life like it.
Ask us about you. You'll find us under Recruiting in the Yellow Pages.
Every day, 140 people from Toulon and Manitoba come to work at jobs created by the tenacity of 2 young brothers and the help they got from people like Frank Bava at the Royal Bank in Winnipeg.
Started with a good idea, but not enough money.
Now here we are in our 3rd factory with more than 140 people. It hasn't been easy, but the Royal Bank has backed us every step of the way.
Royal Bank. When you succeed, we succeed.
Mike, it appeared to me that Bernie Morrison got the first contact on Joe Powell at the bottom of your screen there. Oh, that's Wozniacki, 76, the left defensive end. He strips the football from Powell, and Ed McElhenney gets the first big turnover of this ball game. First down, Calgary at the 26.
And the toss is to James Sykes. Sykes is inside the 20 to about the 19, hit by the middle linebacker, Glenn Jackson.
You know, you talk about that big turnover that the Calgary defense caused. They've done that 47 times this year. That's one of the reasons why they've been so successful.
In speaking with Vic Rapp last night, I thought he might tell me that Jerry Tagge was the most serious of all the injuries that they had. But it's his feeling that Sam Brits is the loss that has hurt this team more than any other. Sam Brits, previously the middle linebacker. Glenn Jackson had to move from the outside into the middle to fill because of that injury. Flag comes down as Willie Burden gets to about the 15-yard line.
Well, I don't think there's any question.
First down.
I don't think there's any question. Nick Hebler, the young rookie from SFU for the BC Lions, jumps offside. Watch him, number 58. He goes, he tries to stop his commitment, and then he tries to get back just now, and then he goes right ahead with it.
Pretty good block by James Sykes to help Burden get through there.
Well, both of those guys complement each other very well, Mike, in terms of blocking. Sykes and Burden. They almost always lead block for the one that's carrying the football.
Just 2 minutes left to play in this opening quarter. The Stampeders hanging on to the football. They have a first down at the BC 14. This is Sykes again. Puts his head down and drives to the 10-yard line. Straightened up by Frank Oliver and Morehouse, number 44. So the gain is about 3.5. Let's make it 2nd and 7 right at the 10-yard line. 1-0 BC out in front. The Stampeders driving right now. And just as important, eating up the clock in the first quarter, that they have gone into the wind. Johnson to the end zone for Armstead, and it was no good. Let's go down to Bill Stevenson.
All right, the story on John Beaton is there's a little bit of concern. They have a strained right knee. Now he's walking around trying to run and stretch it to see how loose it is. I think he'll go back in, so does John when I talked to him. But the doctor said he is not sure if Beaton is going to come back or not. He'll just wait and see how that knee reacts. The official report, however, is a slight strain.
J.T. Hay will try the field goal. He was good on 21 of 32 for the season. This one will come from 17 yards out. It's up, and it is good. We come to the final minute of the opening quarter of play, and the Calgary Stampeders have jumped out in front 3-1.
Calgary Stampeders in the first quarter, much the better football club offensively. The BC Lions showing some strength in that department, Frank, but offensively, they've done absolutely nothing.
They haven't got a first down yet, Mike. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that they have a total of minus yardage so far in this football game. About 20 yards, Bob Lees tells us, our statistician. So they certainly are going to. Vic Rapp talked in the pregame show about coming up with a little more excitement in their offense, particularly on first down. They better start showing it pretty quickly.
They could use a big kickoff return, Patrick.
They've got the people that can do it. Leon the Neon is down there, Leon Bright.
They're all the way back to the 5-yard line. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I don't think there's any way that Hay can put it all the way down that in the field against this breeze.
Larry Key has moved up to the 10 now, so is Bright.
Might be inclined to squib kick it, I would think, against this wind.
Fell off the kicking tee.
As a matter of fact, if I were the BC Lions, I'd have a couple of people up there looking for a short kick on this point in time.
Al Burleson is going to hold the ball for J.T. Hay. That's Key at the top of your screen and Bright at the bottom. Both can fly. And you're right, Mike, he does. He squibs it down the middle. Mark Houghton, number 70, picks up the ball for BC and returns it to about the 43-yard line. The 40-yard kickoff was returned only 8 yards, so the Lions will start at their 43.5-yard line with 55 seconds left to play in this opening quarter.
If you're going to face the pressure that Joe Powell has, I'd start trying to establish that ground game and get those defensive people off of you.
Powell going deep for Terry Bailey, but he was knocked down. Good play by number 26, Merv Walker.
Boy, Powell really took a hit on the play. He's down on the field.
There's another look at it, and Frank, again, he's trying to roll to get away from that pressure. And it came in late, but Lyle Wozniacki, just after he threw the ball, laid that heavy hit on him. But what I don't understand is, despite the wind advantage, why he continues to work against the real strength of the Calgary club, which is their secondary and their pass rush.
He won't be working against it any longer because Mike Knott is going to come into the ball game. Joe Paopao is still stretched out on the field.
It appeared that he caught a helmet, Wozniacki's helmet, in his chest. And you know, so far, Wozniacki's been the dominant factor of that front four for the Calgary Stampeders. He caused the fumble by Paopao on the last possession. And usually Woz is the last person you look for from the pass rush out of the front four of the Stamps. But he's done a great job so far today.
Well, on November the 17th, I'd like to remind everybody that they're going to see a rematch of a great fight of the August 28th Commonwealth Welterweight Championship fight between Clyde Gray and Chris Clark. Clark won that one, if you recall. Gray was unable to answer the 11th. He had some cuts, and that put him out. But this time, Gray's putting his Canadian welterweight title on the line. And the winner of this fight will be the Canadian and Commonwealth welterweight champion. So it should be a beauty. November the 17th, Clyde Gray and Chris Clark.
Mike Knott comes in to quarterback the BC Lions. He completed the longest pass of the season, 106 yards to Leon Bright. Into the 16th, so let's see what he can do. 2nd and 10, BC. Knott throws, and the rookie tight end, Ricky Ellis, could not make the grab.
But let me tell you, Mike Knott got the ball there. He also took a little punishment after releasing it, but he got the ball where it had to be.
It looks like he's having a little conversation with one of his offensive linemen there.
Knott has only thrown 27 passes this season. Completed 16 of them, however, for a 59% completion rate, which was top-notch.
Pat, he also completed an 87-yarder to Jim Young in the Saskatchewan game a couple of weeks ago that allowed Jimmy to tie for the second place in the all-time touchdown receptions in the CFL. So a couple of his touchdowns have been pretty long ones.
Pasaglia punting on 3rd and 10. Forzani at his 12-yard line on what will be the final play of the quarter. Forzani gets it out to about the 18, and a flag comes down late. Len Leonard was there to make the tackle after that 54-yard punt by Pasaglia and a 6-yard return by Tom Forzani. Let's listen for referee Blair Shallow's call.
Face mask, BC number 69. First down.
Well, you heard the call of face masking against John Blake. So everything going Calgary's way right now. We'll have one more play in this quarter because of the penalty. Joe Paopao, who was injured, fumbled, and that enabled the Calgary Stampeders to get excellent field position and kick the field goal that has put the Stampeders out in front 3-1.
Here's another look at that punt return by Tom Forzani. We'll see if we can catch the face mask. Seemed to be just as they were falling.
Ball at the 32-yard line, first down, Calgary. James Sykes, and he cracks over the 35 to about the 37. He'll have a gain about 6 as Frank Oliver once again was there to fill and make the tackle. We have come to the end of the first quarter. The Calgary Stampeders out in front 3-1. This is the CFL on CTV. We'll have second quarter action in a moment.
Watch me slide.
Watch me glide.
Watch the show.
Here I go. Wet and wild. Catch my style.
Watch the show.
Here I go.
Take a while.
Share a smile.
Time now.
Keep on smiling. Woo! Smile along with you.
Smile with blue.
Blue.
start quarter number 2. It is 2nd and 5. Stampeders from their 37-yard line. They lead it 3-1. Johnson for Bob Becker. He makes the catch, has the first down. Out about the 48 or 49-yard line, forced out of bounds by Ken Hinton, number 18, a 12-yard gain.
Yes, that he's a very disappointed young man. You can see him going along there. That knee was racked up again, and it is now a little worse than it was before. They're not sure if he's going to be able to get back in action or not. And earlier, when you saw the injury to Joe Pow, it was nothing serious. Fortunately, it was just the wind knocked out of him. Maybe a slight chest bruise at the same time, but he's going to be all right.
First time in this ball game, they get a little rush from their front four. Richard Murray that time. We'll have to get back to live action, though. He got a piece of Ken Jackson.
First down, Calgary from their 48-yard line. Johnson fires right into a crowd and makes the completion down to the 45-yard line. Kelvin Kirk makes the catch for another big first down, good for 16 yards. And again, Ken Hinton was there to make the tackle.
You know, I thought Ken Hinton might have had an opportunity to step in front for an interception. I'd be happy to see it again. Hinton, number 18, couldn't quite get in front. Good pattern by the receiver to come back into the ball and protect the ball from the defenders.
Well, you see those first quarter statistics. 66 total yards for Calgary, minus 20 for the BC Lions as the Stampeders continue to drive. First down at the BC 45. Johnson throws. The catch is made once again by Bob Vickers at about the 35. If they give him the 35, it should be a first down, but let's wait and see.
It looks pretty obvious that with the win strategy of the Calgary Stampeders is to throw the ball short. Three straight completions, 2 to Vickers now and 1 to Kelvin Kirk. They moved down to the BC Lion 35-yard line. There'll be a measurement now.
Stampeders putting on an impressive performance so far in this ball game. Played very well defensively, as they had to in that first quarter, going into the wind, and now they've got the wind at their back, and as you can see, they have a second down and just inches to go for the first down.
Stampeders, surprisingly, not a great rushing team, although they have James Sykes and Willie Burden. This is one of their better efforts going through the air, Frank, that I've seen in some time.
Talk about Willie Burden and James Sykes. Sykes gained 699 yards rushing, Burden 662. It's second and inches for the first down at the BC 35. And they're going to go for it. Wide open was Calvin Kirk. And Kirk fights his way into the 3-yard line. There is a flag down on the field. Holding is the call against the Stampeders. 31 yards the gain. It will be wiped out, and a 10-yard penalty will be tacked on. Boy, what a big play that was, because it was second and inches.
Boy, and was he ever wide open. There wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him, Mike.
Holding against Calgary. Second down and field.
Armstead had cleared that area and had left Kirk wide open as he just held in that intermediate area. Burden also had flooded the same side. Here's a look at Kirk in isolation. You can see nobody around him. But of course, the key to the success of this passing game has been the time allowed Ken Johnson. Obviously, therefore, the holding penalty critical to that success, and it's being brought back. A different view.
That holding, that'll always give you a little more time to throw it.
It is second and 10 to go now for the Stampeders from the BC 45. No time this time for Ken Johnson. He's sacked back at midfield. The big pressure from Louis Richardson, number 77.
I'll tell you, though, Pat, they brought everybody that time, and that's what I mentioned to you, Mike, before. I thought they would have to continue to bring people. You see linebackers coming from all sides, and if we start that up right now, you'll see even Ford, number 16. Stop it right there. Here's a safety blitz coming. Number 16, Devin Ford, in the middle of that pile. They just had more people than Calgary had blockers.
So a critical holding penalty, and then the big defensive play by Louis Richardson, and Mike McTagg is punting. And he shanks this one, puts it high in the air. Fortunately for the Lions, the fumble punt by Ford rolls out of bounds at about the 3-yard line.
Oh, that's a costly one, though. They're going to be back to their 3-yard line. He would have been able to advance that ball at least up to the 10 or 15. So they'll start from their own 3 with 12:07 remaining in this first half. The Stampeders lead 3-1.
Talked about the BC specialty teams. That's what they were counting on and what they have counted on so many times, Pat. You know, in kickoffs and punt returns, they've amassed over 2,800 yards. That's 1/3 more than the Calgary Stampeders, who have just over 2,100.
Well, you talk about a shank punt, not too bad because it ends up on the 3-yard line.
That's better than a good one.
Absolutely. Knock with the toss to Larry Key, and he stands right at the goal line. Ed McElhenney, number 64, there to make the tackle.
Well, the Lions pull everybody on this play, even the offensive center, Al Wilson, number 52. The whole left side pulls. Leon Hard, number 54, tries to screen him off, but McElhenney does a great job of coming from the backside. BC is down to their 1-yard line. They're in a lot of trouble right now.
And you know, even a quick kick, if they had it, wouldn't be a very good play here because of going into the wind. You couldn't really gain too much from it.
I don't think it'd fool anybody anyway because they don't have anybody can kick it except Luke Pasaglia. You know, he never plays offensively.
We've played 4 minutes of this second quarter. 3-1. Calgary leads it. BC with a big problem at their 1-yard line. 2nd and 12 to go for the first down. Now throws the screen to Larry Key. What a job by Key to get to the 10-yard line. He'll be short of the first down, but he did a tremendous job to pick up that yardage. It is 3-1, Calgary out in front, and we'll be back in a moment.
Sound is a living thing. It colors the beauty and mystery of our existence. Now, with techniques, every nuance of the experience and performance of sound can be reproduced with the utmost fidelity. Techniques High Fidelity keeps sound a living thing. Techniques.
Cutting out, I'm moving out of here. I've paid my dues. Cutting out for some good times. Our good old dogs are near. Gonna spend some time my way. I'm really glad I'm here.
Canada's great taste in ale. What a beer to share.
Me and the boys in our 50. Me and the boys and our beer.
Another look at that little screen that got the BC Lions out of a little trouble. Key with tremendous determination. Odoms had come up to try to seal it off, and a good block that allowed Key to get out to the 10.
Louis Pasaglia punting for BC.
That's an excellent punt against the wind.
Excellent is right to, well, the 54-yard line. The leading punter in the CFL with an average of 47.3 yards on the season does it again for the Lions as he boots it 44 yards with no return.
You're absolutely correct. Net 44 yards. That's a super kick.
Let's see if the Lions come with those linebackers, Frank. I think you've been most accurate in your assessment. It's the only time they've had success when the Stamps have gone to the air.
Burden is 10, Sykes is 11. The toss comes to Sykes. And he gets outside to about the 44-yard line.
That's a perfect counteract to the blitz, as you know, Mike, is to get to the outside, get those linebackers coming in there with a great penetration, caught up inside. You saw them being able to get around Girardi on the play, and they picked up 8 yards. Now they've got another linebacker hurt, and I think it is Paul Girardi down on the field. They're going to run out of bodies in that front 7 pretty soon.
We talked about the fact that the Stampeders were not a club to try to get to the outside. Jack Goda, obviously recognizing this, decided to come up with a little new wrinkle for these playoffs, and they've had some success when they've gone with that quick pitch.
That's the injured Paul Girardi.
Girardi's just behind the ball carriers, you'll see. I think he hits his own man. Ben Jackson also getting a piece of Sykes.
Cold weather often results in a lot of injuries, Frank. Bruises and pulls and one thing or another. You're just not warmed up to the same extent as you are in the milder months of July and August.
Let's go down to Al McCann.
Well, Pat, I was very close to the point when Paul Girardi went down, and Bill Rochelle, the trainer of the Lions, instantly looked at that knee, the right knee of Girardi's, and the way it's going, you put it right a minute ago, Frank did, that they're running out of bodies. BC getting no breaks at all. They keep going down with injuries. Calgary so far on this side of the field, not a single hint of an injury.
Well, Doug Seymour has come into the ball game. Let's see where he lines up. Generally speaking, he's a defensive lineman, but with Girardi out of there, they don't have another linebacker left because John Beaton went down earlier in the ball game. Now Girardi is out.
Seymour has been pressed into the linebacking service before, Pat, but it's been last year since he's played that position.
2nd and 2 for the Stampeders at the BC 45.5. The give is to Sykes, who gets outside. And Sykes has a first down into the BC 34-yard line, forced out by Doug Carlson, 28.
The Lions have moved into what it appeared to me to be almost a 52 defense, Frank, but they didn't get the containment from their inside safety, and Sykes has that very quick acceleration to the outside. If he has an opening, he'll take it.
Good move at the line of scrimmage by Sykes, just slipping more or less to the outside, picking up the first down easily.
We've got 9 minutes, 25 seconds left to play in this first half. Calgary leading 3-1 and threatening once again the first down at the BC 34-yard line. Johnson fires. The catch is made by Calvin Kirk. Another first down into the 18-yard line. Joe Forqueen, number 14, there to wrap him up, but not before the 17-yard gain.
Just look at the excellent protection that the Calgary Stampeder offensive line does. There's basically only 3 people coming here. Louis Richardson doesn't get any penetration at all from the left defensive end spot. Look at what great protection that is by the Stampeder offense.
No secondary can protect for that long.
BC Lions don't have a first down in the ball game. Calgary's moved up and down the field. Johnson throws. The catch is made by Armstead. He'll have another first down in around the 7-yard line. Number 16, Devon Ford, was there to make the tackle.
A couple of times you've seen the coverage has been right on the receivers, but Johnson has been excellent in his accuracy. He's put the ball right into the receiver's hands. Here again, you'll see Ford in coverage on Armstead. He's right with him. The ball extremely well thrown. The receiver concentrating on the reception and being able to hold on.
Mike, you're absolutely right. You can't really blame the defensive backs for those completions. And they brought Glenn Jackson from that middle linebacking spot that time, too. Stampeders are just protecting their quarterback very, very well.
10 first downs for Calgary, none for BC. First and touchdown to go as the toss comes to Sykes. Sykes gets to about the 3-yard line. Glenn Jackson, who has played very well for the Lions this afternoon, as he has all season, was there to make the tackle.
Just extremely good pursuit by Jackson coming from that middle linebacking spot, but he shouldn't have to make the tackle that wide.
The story on Paul Girardi is bad. It's the medial ligament, according to Dr. Bill Thompson, the BC Lion doctor. He's afraid it may be torn. He's not sure, but Girardi will not be back in the ball game this afternoon. So the Lions are running out of linebackers, as you have stated. All right, Pat.
Rob Forbes, number 6, comes into that Calgary backfield on second and touchdown to go. Give is to Sykes, and he could not get outside because Joe Forqueen closed it down.
I'll tell you, what a gutty defense.
I'll tell you, one part of the key to that play is watch Willie Burton as he goes up, tries to help Fairbanks at the right tackle position, put a block on the BC Lions. They stack it up right there, Louis Richardson, and then Glenn Jackson forcing Jim Sykes to the outside where Joe Forqueen does the rest of the job. Good defense.
Terrific, because it's not just Forqueen, obviously with his containment, that's so vital, but you see Jackson and those others coming from the inside to fill. There was no place for Sykes to go.
I think Jackson's comments prior to the football game were very appropriate. The defense really shouldn't be blamed in circumstances like that.
J.T. Hay puts it up, and it is no good. They'll get a single point out of it, but they do not get the field goal. So the BC Lions come up tough in their own end. The Calgary Stampeders lead at 4-1, and we'll be back in a moment.
For generations in the tropics, they have known of the naturally soothing qualities of the coconut. Now Foamy introduces new tropical coconut shave cream, soothing and softening with the light, fresh smell of coconut. New Foamy tropical coconut shave cream is so different from what you're using now, you may never want to go back. New Foamy tropical coconut shave cream from Gillette.
By the BC Lions. It was second and touchdown to go from the 3, and all the Stampeders got out of it was a single point. Now the Lions offense has to get a move on as Mike Knott, who came in to replace the injured Joe Powell as a quarterback. Larry Key on a little bit of a counter, but there is nowhere to go. He's nailed after a gain and maybe a couple. Ollie Bach in the middle linebacker was there, along with a lot of folks by the name of Dombrowski, McElhenney, and Lewis.
Dombrowski did a great job of reading that little counter trap back into the middle. Little room for the back to maneuver.
Well, when you get a back like Larry Key, who carries 3 times and has -1 yard, you know what kind of a job that front 4 is doing for Calgary. Knott puts it up. This time it is held onto by Ricky Ellis.
Knott's pass complete to Ellis.
And he'll have the first down.
We got to bring that back. It's the only first down he's had all day, Mike.
Robert Sparks in coverage, is inside safety spot. Ellis just breaks out. Sparks in pretty good position, but it's well thrown. Mike Knott's been pretty impressive in the few that he has thrown this afternoon. He just has to get a little bit more time and a little bit more help from his receivers.
Ball is at the BC 46-yard line. First down for the Lions. This is John Henry White. No, sir. Lewis was there, and so was McElhenney.
To measure the job that Calgary defense is doing, Larry Key and John Henry White come into this ball game, each of them, with a 5.2 average per carry. Key, of course, having over 1,000 yards in the season. White over 775.
You know, we thought maybe if there was a weakness on the Calgary Stampeders, it'd be their outside linebackers, but John Palazetti got a good piece of that tackle as well, and he and Marson have played outstanding so far today.
2 of the great running backs in the CFL, John Henry White and Larry Key, have combined for 1 yard rushing. Knott throws. He was hit as he released the ball. So Louis Pasaglia will be back out to punt for the Lions with 4 minutes, 49 seconds left to play in this second quarter. And you know, we talked about how important it was for Calgary in the first quarter to keep the Lions off the board. The Lions have done a pretty good job in keeping Calgary back.
Well, you know, how many times have you seen a ball game where one team dominates the other one completely, and if they don't score, which the Stampeders certainly have not done, leading only 4-1 here, you know, this ball game could turn around in the next 30 minutes very easily.
They almost sag as a result of not being able to take advantage.
What an excellent play by Pasaglia.
Wasn't it a smart one? He booted it over the head of Tom Forzani back at the 9-yard line. Forzani gets it back over the 20 to about the 22. 55 yards against the wind by Pasaglia, who faked the run, brought everybody up, and then kicked it over their head.
Here's another look at it. That's a poised player. That's the kind of play you need if you're going to win in playoff games. He saw them all going back for the return, took his time, got the people to come up, and then sailed it over their heads.
Mike, this is going to be great. At halftime, we can do the highlights of the punter. That's their biggest offensive threat.
Good return of 14 yards by Tom Forzani as the Stampeders start at their 22-yard line with 4 minutes left in the first half. Johnson with a good fake to Burden, and now he goes deep, but there is nobody there.
Sykes was deep and Armstead were deep, Pat, but it was miles from anybody.
I thought he was looking for Willie Burden for a screen on the left side there, and it looked like Willie was open. He said, the heck with that, I'm going to throw it downfield.
Johnson had complete. good fake to Burden, and now he goes deep, but there's nobody there.
Sykes was deep and Armstead were deep, Pat, but it was miles from anybody.
I thought he was looking for Willie Burden for a screen on the left side there, and it looked like Willie was open. He said, the heck with that, I'm going to throw it downfield.
Johnson had completed his last 5 passes in a row prior to that one going astray. It is 2nd and 10, Calgary from their 22-yard line. Next Saturday, we've got the Eastern Final, Montreal against either the Ottawa Rough Riders or the Hamilton Ticats. That should be a dandy. The winner goes to the Grey Cup. Johnson throws over the middle, complete to Armstead. Armstead is forced out by Doug Carlson on a saving tackle, but it was a missed tackle initially that allowed him to pick up 37 yards.
Well, you'll see, obviously, that the BC Lions get caught in man-to-man coverage. Here's Girodi, the linebacker, firing on the blitz. That's why you can know for sure that it is a man-to-man coverage situation. Armstead makes a good reception, but then I believe it's Ford slips and falls. No, Joe Forqueen, number 14, who had Armstead man-to-man, and Forqueen slip allows Armstead to pick up an extra 25 yards on the play.
Closer look at it. It was 16, Frank. You were right the first time. Devon Ford. But Armstead with that quickness made a lot more.
James Sykes makes the reception inside the 45 to about the 44-yard line. He'll have a gain of close to 7. The tackle made by Frank Oliver. We've got 3 minutes left in this first half. Calgary leads at 4-1, and we'll be back in a moment.
Skiing across the summer green, twist and turn, go in between, flying free across the grass. You love the fun, you love it fast. You know what you could do. Come on and share a smile or two. 'Cause when you're smiling, keep on smiling. Blue smiles along with you.
今天所看到的一切。
At electric power sites in Canada, engineers from China are learning new techniques. They know Canadians have one of the most reasonably priced and reliable electric power services in the world. And like many other countries, they come to study our innovations, like pioneering extra high voltage transmission.
Well done, Canada.
Constant innovation. It's one reason Canadians enjoy one of the most reasonably priced and reliable electric power services in the world.
We've got 3 minutes, 9 seconds left to play in the half. It is 2nd and 3, Calgary, at the BC 44.5-yard line. They lead it 4-1. Give inside to Willie Burden. Burden gets to about the 42. It'll be close to the first down. Let's go to Bill Stevenson.
The story, Pat, on Joe Paopao is that he can come back into action. He is fine, and he's not being used, not because he is injured or anything. The wind was just knocked out of him, as we said previously. As for Paul Girodi, who we were told was going to be out for the rest of the game, he talked his way back into the lineup. And Dr. Bill Townsend says, well, I'm watching him. He seems to be doing all right. He said, I didn't think he was going to be able to play, but he says he's trying. So I've let him go in, and I'll check him again at halftime. This is what happens, however, in playoff games. Players who maybe would not go back in the regular league game realize it's all on the line, and they're showing, in the words of sports, a lot of guts. All right, Pat.
Thank you, Bill. It is 3rd and inches to go for the first down, and the Stampeders will go for it with 2:57 showing on the clock. Forbes comes back in, number 6. Burden 10, Sykes 11, and Forbes 6 in that backfield for the Stampeders. Johnson keeps it himself, and he'll have the first down, reaching very close to the 40-yard line.
You know, you have to agree with Bill Stevenson's assessment of Paul Girodi's courage in coming back in, but not that you want to take advantage of anybody, but certainly if he has a knee injury, and particularly the type described at the bench to Bill, then there will be a weakness there, and you might expect the Calgary Stampeders to test it and see just how strong he is, meeting blocks and being able to shed them and get into the play.
Well, I'm not going to say that Girodi isn't the brightest guy around. Let's just say he was the heavyweight champ in the University of California in college. Maybe he doesn't know what pain means.
First down, Stampeders. Johnson, it is picked off. Devon Ford.
There is a flag down, Pat.
Flag is down in the defensive backfield. Let's wait and see what it's about. Stampeders seem exuberant, so it could be a pass interference call.
Miles Gorell is very happy.
Rough play.
Was it before or after?
Let's listen.
Unnecessary roughness. VC number 17 before the interception. First down.
Oh, what a big penalty. Unnecessary roughness against Frank Oliver before the interception. It'll be a first down, Calgary.
A tough break against the BC Lions defense. They've been valiant all afternoon in this first half of play. They come up with a really big turnover. The efforts of Ford, number 16, all for naught, and the Calgary Stampeders now 1st and 10 at the Lions' 25.
Ford had made only one interception all season long. He makes another one here in the playoff, and it goes for naught. Johnson fires over the middle. It is complete inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line to Bob Vickers.
Finally, Louis Richardson does get some pressure here on Johnson. If we start it up, you'll see him beat. Stop it right there. You'll see him beat Fairbanks, number 66, the right offensive tackle, around to the outside, and he gets to Johnson just after he releases the football. Just another half step, and he could have prevented that completion.
The gain was 8 yards. It is 2nd and 2.
Look at the kind of play that follows the quarterback even after he's released it. Richardson, 77, really comes in and decks Johnson and makes him pay for that completion.
Now at the 18-yard line, 2nd down. Give us the Sykes. Well, we'll wait for the placement of the ball. It appears to be a first down. The tackle was made by Richard Murray, number 71, the right defensive end, along with Devon Ford, number 16. It is a first down for the Stampeders with 1:57 showing on the clock. You look at a concerned BC bench. They're in this ball game 4-1, but they don't want to give up the major score right now and go to the locker room down by whatever it would be if the convert was good, or
well, let's say about 9 or 10 points.
Yeah, or 10 or 11. Johnson fires. Vickers could not hang on. Doug Carlson, number 28, had him wrapped up.
A big blitz again. Girode, and I believe it was Ford that came in on a safety blitz also. A lot of heat on Johnson. It appeared to me as if that ball was thrown a little behind the receiver.
That's good man coverage when you see the safety like that. Doug Carlson come up. You know he's got the tight end on that man-to-man coverage, and he was right with him.
2nd and 10, Stampeders from the BC 15-yard line with 1:39 left to play in the half. The Stampeders lead it 4-1. Johnson fires, but he underthrew the intended receiver. Willie Armstead was there. The ball was not.
All day to throw the football, too. Just all day.
Frank Oliver appeared to have flat coverage, but Armstead certainly got away from him.
Tom Forzani, who's the leading receiver on this ball club with 58 catches during the season, has not been thrown to this afternoon.
You know, Pat and Mike, I think on the cab on the way out to the stadium, I said that I thought that the BC Lions are going to have to get points from their specialty teams to win this football game. I still think that comment's valid.
Well, it certainly has been in the first half, unquestionably. J.T. Hay will try the field goal from 22 yards out. And again, it is wide, and they'll only get a single point. Well, you can tell that this crowd of more than 34,000 is a little bit displeased at that, but the wind is a definite factor. There's no question about it. Let's not make excuses for anybody because they were both fairly short field goals, but let's also take into consideration that the wind is a factor.
And well, I've missed a few greens with 9 irons, too.
First down, BC at their 35. They trail now 5-1 and have to feel pleased about that. John Henry White dances his way back to the line of scrimmage, and not much more.
The East Germans, the remarkable success story of the East Germans, highlighted ranging from Wolfgang Brenhardt's bantamweight boxing victory. That was their first gold medal, and including swimming Roland Mathis, as well as Cornelia Enders, and discus throwers Lothar Milder, Wolfgang Schmidt. You'll see the javelin throwers, the marathoners. You'll see all the best of the East Germans on CTV Sports Special, the Olympiad, the East Germans on CTV. That's November the 13th.
Al Sharuk is out. Jimmy Young is in on 2nd and 10 for the Lions, and Knott wants to put it up. Fires beyond the reach of Ricky Ellis, number 7, who is in there in place of Harry Holt.
Big rangy man, Ricky Ellis, seeing action for the first time of the BC Lions, but he certainly doesn't have the speed that Holt had.
It's really strange, don't you think, that the #1 receiver they've gone to all afternoon has been Ricky Ellis, who was playing his first game for the Lions in 1979, whereas your backs, John Henry White and Larry Key, have been the top receivers all year long, and then Harry Holt, Leon Bright. They're going to an absolute new man.
I agree.
That's the new wrinkle, I think, that Vic was talking about.
Maybe.
Pasaglia hangs it up there for Zani at his 42. Dropped the ball momentarily, then was able to dive on top of it. The tackle downfield was made by Nick Hebler. 32-yard boot, no return. So with 51 seconds showing on the clock, the Stampeders will start from their 43-yard line.
Tommy Ferzani having some problems repeatedly on this punt return squad. He's been able to recover it in each instance.
So look at Larry Key as they examine his knee. Boy, we've had a lot of injuries for the Lions so far in this ball game. Johnson fired in the area of Calvin Kirk, running for his life. It goes incomplete, but at least he was able to salvage the yardage.
I think, Mike, it's safe to say that Murray has easily been the best of the front four as a defensive lineman. In terms of the pass rush so far this afternoon, it has not been a great pass rush, as we said to you, but he splits Kersinger and Gorell on this play and gets the initial pressure on Johnson, chasing him to the outside.
It seemed to me that he and Mike Blanton had a little game on Blanton coming outside and Murray taking that inside course that you described.
He was occupying 2 people and beat them both.
43 seconds left in the half. Johnson throws. It is complete to Willie Armstead, and he should have the first down at about the 53-yard line.
Time becoming very much a factor as we hurry into this isolation shot of Willie Armstead, who's certainly been one of the favored receivers for Johnson this afternoon. Gets enough for the first down, and the Calgary Stampeders anxious to get going because there's only 38 seconds remaining, but they have to wait for the chain. They don't have to worry about the clock, at least for the moment.
Well, as you mentioned, Willie Armstead has been busy. He's caught 5 for 78 yards. But the story of the ball game is, despite the fact that the Stampeders have 10 first downs this quarter, they've only managed 2 points. It is 5-1, Calgary out in front. It was 3-1 at the quarter. 38 seconds left to play in the half. It's first down Calgary from their 53-yard line. Johnson over the middle. It was deflected away by number 44, Morehouse.
You know, when you look at the fact that the Calgary Stampeders have been one of the better clubs in the CFL this year, you must recognize that their offense ranks about 6th. That goes to show where the strength really has been, Frank.
That's amazing, isn't it? 6th best offense in the country, and they finished with a 12-4 record.
Right.
31 seconds left in the half now. Second down, Calgary from their 53. Johnson throws. Calvin Kirk is wide open, and he is really rocked by Morehouse at the 35.
Well, I didn't think he was going to get up that quickly. Calvin Kirk really took a blow from Morehouse, number 44. Hurry up offense now with the Stampeders. 25 seconds remain in the first half.
I was just going to say it was an 18-yard gain, and more than that, the fact that, as you gentlemen have just pointed out, he held on to the football. Ball at the 35, and the clock is now running. 19 seconds left in the half. Flag comes down. Ball fell between Calvin Kirk and Willie Armstead, but we've got a penalty against the Stampeders.
I believe it was Harton, number 67, who's called for the holding of on the Calgary Stampeders. Let's go look at him. He's working against rookie Nick Hebler.
Boy, is he upset, Frank.
He sure is. He's going after the officials. The BC Lions are going to accept the penalty and move the Stampeders back to the 45-yard line. It'll be first down over with 20 yards to go and only 14 seconds remain on the clock.
Big penalty, because now it's a question of whether or not they'll even be able to get into field goal range again.
14 seconds left to play in the half. First and 20, Calgary. Johnson throws wide open with Forzani for his first reception with 6 seconds showing on the clock. He has a first down at about the 23-yard line. The pass was good for 22 yards as J.T. Hay now comes back out onto the field.
Another look at it. Johnson given all the time in the world. Finally some heat right there, but not before Forzani got wide open just by the sideline, and now they have a chance to pick up 3. They're still on that sideline, though. The hash mark, I should say, the same one that Hayes had trouble from before.
He's missed 2 that went for single points in this quarter. Flags are down all over the field. Hay is good on his field goal try. Now let's see what the flags were about.
Looked like the Lions jumped off unless they were pulled offside.
Procedure call against the Stampeders. So wipe out that field goal. Hay will have to try it 5 yards back.
Procedure call. Calgary down repeated.
I think that's not going to bother J.T. Hay. He misses 2, finally gets 1, and there's a penalty.
You think he's figured out maybe it's not his day?
This one will come from the 35-yard line. Kenny Johnson is the holder. It is 5-1. If Hay is good, they'll go to the locker room with a 7-point lead. And he is good. 2 for the price of 1, I guess, is the way you look at that. The Calgary Stampeders go to the locker room at halftime, leading the BC Lions 8-1. We'll be back in just a moment.
Take a turn in the wind to the heights where you have never been. Let the feeling surround you. Take a while and share a smile when you're smiling. Keep on smiling. I'm in blue. Smiles alone, now it's you and the blue.
One of the many interested observers at this afternoon's big playoff game in Calgary is the head coach of the first place Eskimos, Hugh Campbell. Coach, it looks to me like that first half, it could have been a runaway except for Louis Pasaglia.
I think Louis was tremendous. His heady play there where he started to run up the middle and then made that great punt, and his punts against the wind have been excellent. The game has been much closer than it appears. Just watching it, you would think that Calgary was way ahead with a 7-point lead is all they have.
BC can't get anything going offensive, though, Coach.
Well, they've had some problems. In fairness to BC, they took some knocks early personnel-wise, and they're hanging in there very well, which is a credit to Vic and to the BC Lions, the way that team can hang in there. I think that they just have, I might be wrong, but I think they just have about 1 first down. And to have that much pressure on your defense, I know I've seen Glenn Jackson playing really well, and I'm sure they're all just playing their hearts out.
Are you pretty healthy for next week, Coach?
I think so, Al. Pretty good. You know, Donnie Warrington's so important to us. I hate to say that and not mention him because his injury has really changed our offense quite a bit, and we miss him.
Hugh, thank you very much. Good luck next week.
Thanks, Al.
This, of course, is just the first of the many playoff games. We have Saturday, November the 17th. today. Then the Eastern final, of course, Hamilton playing in Ottawa, Hamilton or Ottawa at Montreal. Boy, all sorts of great games. And then, of course, it's all culminated by the Grey Cup game on the 25th, and you'll see a lot of this great action on CTV. We'd also like to remind you of something coming up that we want you to watch, and that is, of course, our All-Pro Countdown. That's coming up, and it's going to be a very particularly good one, the quarterback accuracy contest, which always is very interesting. This is the CFL on CTV. We'll continue with halftime in just a moment.
It's special.
Ah, that looks really nice and cold.
It's special. Tastes the best special.
Looks refreshing. I can tell you, it's got a Labatt's taste. Yeah. And it's a real Canadian taste.
Has it got body?
That's it. It's got body.
It's special. Tastes the best special.
And yet it has less than 99 calories in a bottle.
It's special. Tastes the best special.
Pinpoint passing at its very best. That's what we feature on Countdown today. It's the finals of the quarterback accuracy competition. Completing 8 out of 10 in the preliminary round, Dieter Brock of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And right behind him with 7 out of 10, Conrad Holloway of the Ottawa Rough Riders. CFL All-Pro Countdown. Brought to you by Old Port, Canada's most popular cigar.
Pat, our first event is the quick release drill, in which the quarterback has only 10 seconds to attempt all 4 passes. The targets will be moving, with target 1 running a 10-yard out, target 2 a 10-yard slant at 45 degrees, target 3 a delayed go pattern, and target 4 a 15-yard hook.
Well, Conrad Holloway continues to be hot as you see him in action right now. He completes all 4 of his passes and really puts the pressure on Dieter Brock. Brock, of course, had been sensational in the preliminary round. Let's see if he can accept the challenge from Conrad Holloway.
Got to feel a little bit of pressure coming into this with that kind of a challenge.
He was right on with that pass. And hits number 2 as well. Brock is 3 for 3, and he can tie it up right now and does.
And I'll tell you, his teammates are wildly enthusiastic, and I don't blame them. Their quarterback has kept them in the hunt, and what a tremendous job by Dieter Brock. All 4 throws in 8.9 seconds, and the big pressure throw for 20 yards was good.
Well, we said it'd be pinpoint passing. How great can it be? 4 out of 4 for both Dieter Brock and Conrad Holloway. Conrad, you know, I've often wondered, you find it's an advantage or a disadvantage to go first?
Well, I wanted to go first simply because we've been through this drill before, and I figured if I did fairly reasonably well, 3 out of 4, it might put a little pressure on, but Ralph's a competitor, and there was no pressure involved at all.
Dieter, you know, this is supposed to be a tough competition. You guys are making it look easy. What's it going to take, 10 out of 10 to win this thing?
I don't know, Pat. Conrad's is looking good over there. Put the pressure on me last time, and I just tried to take my time and throw it, you know, because I only had 10 seconds, though. But if he keeps up like that, it's going to take a 10 out of 10.
All right, 6 throws to come for both these competitors, and we'll be back in a moment.
The Old Port cigar break. Whatever you're doing.
For his challenge, Conrad Holloway has called for all 3 targets to run an in pattern. From the sideline to the hash mark, they will go at 10,
15 and 20 yards. He has also elected Pat to go last, wanting once again to put the pressure squarely on Dieter Brock.
Well, Dieter Brock has shown in this competition that he reacts very well to pressure. Let's see how he does now with these 3 throws. Taking his time as he awaits that first card. Good on the 10-yarder. Just makes the second one at 15 yards, and he won't even have a shot at the third one, Mike, because it's out of the playing area.
Well, Pat, as you saw, he fumbled the ball, but the real problem was he waited too long for that first target to come over the center, and then he got behind the others.
Nevertheless, Brock was good on 6 of his first 7 throws, and now Conrad Holloway has to be good on at least 2 out of 3. Oh, just bounced it off the rim. Dead on that one. And with this one, he ties it all up. Both are 6 for 7. A tremendous display by Conrad Holloway and Dieter Brock. And now it's the Eastern team's chance to really come alive because they know they're very close to victory in the overall team standings.
Here's a look at it, 6 for 7. And on that occasion, Conrad Holloway having to make the 2 real tough ones. Brock's challenge has called for all 3 targets to run patterns to the sidelines at 15, 20, and 25 yards. He calls for Conrad Holloway to go first. Brock thinks he's got the stronger arm.
Boy, I'll tell you, they have both been deadly, though. 6 out of 7, 4 for 4 in the first phase, and then 2 out of 3. Holloway just bounced it off the rim once again. But he's good on that one. And he pulls the string and hits the third one just before it goes out of the playing surface. Another wonderful display by Conrad Holloway. Tony Gabriel and his teammates are excited because this is going to be tough to beat.
I'll tell you, that's 80%, Pat, by Conrad Holloway, and some very difficult throws. Dieter Brock now, a lot of pressure squarely on him.
Well, he's got to come up with at least 2 out of 3 in a very difficult maneuver. Let's watch him in action.
He called for these routes.
He makes his first one good. And he's good on this one. He can win it with this throw.
He's got the arm.
Oh, just a little bit off. And you can see Dieter is not too happy with himself. But again, what can you say about a man who has completed 80% of his throws in this competition?
Well, because they're tied, we'll need overtime, and we'll be back with it in a moment.
The old port cigar break. Whatever you're doing.
These 2 great quarterbacks continue their tremendous passing this afternoon. They had 4 more throws in the accuracy competition, and they were good, both of them, on those 4 throws. They're now 12 for 14. Mike, I'll tell you, just can't believe this performance.
Well, you just saw Dieter Brock hitting that 15-yard hook. Conrad Holloway now, the 10-yard slant. He's going to hit the go as well and then finish up with the hook. Just outstanding performances, and Pat, that means that we're going to have to come up with overtime challenge number 2. At 20-yard in, 3 times for each quarterback, and Conrad Holloway is up first.
Well, what can you say except they've both put on a tremendous performance. Holloway with his first attempt just misses. But he's good on that one. 1 out of 2 so far, and just underthrows the third cart. So Conrad Holloway has left the door open for Dieter Brock to come in and win this competition.
You could tell when Holloway walked away, he didn't think that was a winning throw.
And Brock just misses as we watch Conrad taking a look at it. And he's high on that one. Now Brock has to be good, but he is not. Conrad Holloway has won the passing accuracy competition.
Without question, the best performance by 2 quarterbacks in all the years of Countdown.
So the East has clinched its first ever team championship here on Countdown. Brought to you by Old Port, Canada's most popular cigar.
This is the world's best-selling Panasonic portable cassette tape recorder. Now, we put all of its best features into this new Panasonic Slimline. It even has a very slim price. And into this, Panasonic Ultra Slimline. Slimmer yet, and it still uses a standard cassette. And into this, Panasonic microcassette tape recorder. It can play up to 2 hours and is slim enough to slip into your shirt pocket. Panasonic, we put a lot into all our tape recorders.
Cutting out, I'm moving out of here. Working for the man, brother. Riding out for some good times, a long, long way from here. Gonna spend some time my way. Really glad I'm here.
Canada's great taste in ale. What a beer to share.
Me and the boys in our 50s. Me and the boys and our beer.
This is the CTV Television Network.
Doggone it, Mike, I think we're going to have to get you a hat.
Well, Hoppy, I'll tell you, if I'm going to be your partner, I'll have to.
That Stampeder defense has been very impressive, hasn't it?
Frank, there's no question about it. Coach Vic Rapp took the win and hoped to score in that first quarter, but he wasn't able to because the Calgary defense was just so strong. So let's get to some of those highlights right now and see what we mean. Joe Pow dropped back, tried to get something going as he had good field position to start off with. The only turnover of the game happened, however, early in the first quarter, and the Calgary Stampeders got possession. From that, they got a field goal. Later in the first quarter, again, the Calgary defense was charging. Lyle Wozdezeski came in on Joe Pow. Joe Pow has not seen action since. Mike Knott has returned to be the quarterback.
Well, you know, the Lions defensively played extremely well, too. One time during this ball game, they did have a lapse in the second quarter, however, and this was Calvin Kirk moving the ball all the way down to the 7-yard line. Fortunately, from the Lions' point of view, it was called back because of a holding penalty against the Calgary Stampeders. But Ken Johnson came right back and hit Willie Armstead for a first down at the 7-yard line. But once again, defensively, the BC Lions have been extremely impressive as well. And on this play, you'll see a great move by Joe Forqueen on the outside. Well, we're not going to see that one right now. We're going to take a look again at Calvin Kirk, or I should say Willie Armstead, as he goes down to set up that excellent field position for the Calgary Stampeders. Right after this, however, the great position by Joe Forqueen defensively really was the key to keeping the Calgary Stampeders out of that end zone.
Ken Johnson with Willie Armstead and Calvin Kirk continue to team up to put on a pretty good passing display. But Frank, they just never got a chance to get it into the end zone. The BC Lion defense came up big when it had to. This allowed for a J.T. Hay field goal to make the score 8-1 at halftime, but the Calgary Stampeders have not really been able to capitalize. This is the CFL on CTV. We'll have second half action in a moment.
Okay, we're going to check out the different jobs we do at Canadian Pacific. You got that? Okay. Railway, that's one. Airline, that's one.
That's two.
Trucking, that's one. Ships, that's one. Telecommunications, that's one. Hotels, that's one. Okay, railway, airline, trucking, ships, telecommunications, hotels. That's one job. Transportation. Now, on to the others. Mining, that's two. Forest products, that's two. Real estate, that's two. Steel making, that's two. Petroleum, that's two. Okay. Mining, forest products, real estate, steel, petroleum. That's the second job. Resource development. At Canadian Pacific, we work at two basic jobs.
Transportation and resources.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation
and resources.
Back in the beautiful city of Calgary, Alberta, where we've just had the kickoff. And we also have the kickoff return right at this instant. As Robert Sparks fights his way toward the 25-yard line, and he may have reached it. Well, we say hello to all our friends south of the border who are watching coast to coast in the United States. Let me explain what's going on here. This is the sudden death Western Conference semifinal in the Canadian Football League. The Calgary Stampeders and the British Columbia Lions. Calgary finished second in the Western Conference. BC finished third. The winner of this game will play the Edmonton Eskimos next week in the Western Conference final on Sunday in Edmonton for the right to represent that conference in Canada's Grey Cup Classic the following week in Montreal. The flag comes down as Willie Burton, the former North Carolina State running back, gets out to about the 29-yard line. 8-1 is the score in favor of the Stampeders, who completely dominated that first half of play. The statistical story was simply overwhelming in favor of Calgary. It was 249 yards, believe it or not, to 0.
And yet they only got 8 points out of that tremendous advantage, Pat, and there's some significance in that too.
That reminds me of a ball game the Seattle Seahawks played a week or so ago. They set the new NFL record for ineptitude offensively. They lost 8 yards offensively in the ball game. The Lions could top that.
Well, the holding penalty was against Calgary. They've had a number of them this afternoon. It is 1st and 20 from the Calgary 17-yard line. We are just underway in the 3rd quarter of an 8-1 ball game in favor of the Stampeders. The loser goes home for the season. The winner goes on to play again next week. Kenny Johnson fires complete to James Sykes. Sykes did an awful lot of running and finally got over the 25 to the 27. Now, he does not have a first down because they had 20 yards to go, but he certainly does have about 12 or 13.
Pat, let's start this up. I thought there was a clip by the Calgary Stampeders which was not picked up there after Sykes makes the reception. Let's take a look at it.
Number 6, Rob Forbes, and I agree. Let's take a look. There he is.
Right behind. Look at right there. He didn't stop it for you in time, but he got Nick Hebler from the back. It looked like to me it was not called by the official. The 10-yard gain will stand.
The ball is back to the original line of scrimmage, so it is 2nd and 10. Johnson throws. The catch is made by Calvin Kirk. He has the first down, gets to his feet, and is finally hauled down at the 41-yard line. Morehouse, number 44, there to make the tackle for the BC Lions. The gain was 14 yards.
Some pretty big plays by Johnson. 1st and 20, deep in his own end, but he's come up with it. And Kelvin Kirk's been quite a man in their offensive plan this afternoon.
Let me tell you about the Calgary Stampeders. Kenny Johnson from the University of Colorado, by way of the Buffalo Bills, is the quarterback for Calgary, number 19. James Sykes from Rice and Willie Burton from North Carolina State are the running backs. Johnson throws for Willie Armstead. He's got it. Has a first down and is into BC territory at about the Lions' 50-yard line, hauled down by Frank Oliver from Kentucky State, but not before a 19-yard gain.
Pat, Rob Forbes is in the game now, number 6 for Willie Armstead. Willie's gone to the bench and taken off his usual number 10. I don't know if his jersey was just ripped or something. He's put on number 7, I believe, at this point.
Willie Burton, you meant, Frank?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Johnson on first down, going deep. Touchdown, Willie Armstead. Beautiful 50-yard touchdown pass.
Well, the Lions got caught in a safety blitz here. Doug Carlson, their safety, number 28, was caught on the blitz. The offensive left tackle, Miles Gurrell, picks him up. You'll see it come into the screen just a little bit later here. You obviously have man-to-man coverage, and it looked like Frank Oliver was the one that Willie Armstead beat. Oliver, number 17, an excellent throw from Kenny Johnson.
The big play that they've been looking for. They got the ball in the wind early in the 3rd quarter, and they've enlarged their lead. It's going to be pretty tough now, Pat, for the Lions to try to come back from that without some very big play giving them some boost.
Well, there's no doubt that BC has to get some offense. The point after by J.T. Hay is good. It is Calgary 15, BC 1 here early in the 3rd quarter. What a play, Kenny Johnson to Willie Armstead.
A big 50-yard gain to put the Stampeders up 15-1. It's nothing more than a foot race because of the man-to-man coverage that you described, Frank.
Well, let me give you the junior final. It took place at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton this afternoon. Ottawa beat Regina 13-9. They are the Canadian Junior Football Champions. It is 15-1 here for the Stampeders, and the CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
At Canadian Pacific, we often find that people look at us differently than we do ourselves. For instance, they may look at us something like this. They see us working at a lot of different things. And after all, we and our subsidiaries do work at
Railways, mining, airlines, forest products, trucking,
steelmaking,
ships, petroleum, hotels, real estate, and telecommunications.
But there's a much simpler way of looking at us at Canadian Pacific. And we look something like this. One part of us works in transportation. That's right. Our transportation systems are some of the most sophisticated and complete in the world. The other part of us works at the development of various much-needed resources. Transportation and resources. When you look at us this way at Canadian Pacific, we're not so hard to get to know.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation and resources.
Willie Armstead's had a big game this afternoon for the Calgary Stampeders. He's caught 7 for 147 and a touchdown. This is Larry Key with the handoff to Leon Bright. Bright, the Florida State grad, gets to the 20-yard line, but there was good coverage by the Stampeders. That 65-yard kickoff was returned only 20 yards. So now the BC Lions, who need some offense desperately, will take over at that point. They trail 15-1 as we begin their opening series here in this third quarter as Joe Powell comes back into quarterback that BC Lions offense. Powell from Long Beach State was injured in the first quarter of play. Set up the screen for Bailey. And he gets a few, but not much, maybe to the 23 or 24-yard line as Reggie Lewis played it well and made the stop.
Herb Walker was in very quickly, did an excellent job from his inside safety position with flat responsibility, reading that screen, moving in. Good move. Gets him away from Walker, but there are too many others, including Reggie Lewis, that are there to fill the gap.
Gain was just a couple of yards, so make it 2nd and 8 as Ricky Ellis, number 7, leaves. It's a rookie from Cal State. Powell throws, no good. Al Sharuk was there, but the ball was not.
Lions are complaining about pass interference in the Calgary Stampeder defensive backfield, but I guess they're trying to get a first down any way they can, maybe trying to talk the refs out of one. They haven't done much offensively all day.
Well, in case you've just joined us, the wind is a definite factor here at McMahon Stadium this afternoon. It's blowing into the face right now of the BC Lion punter, Louis Pasaglia. You can see his average this afternoon, 53.1 yards. He's done an amazing job kicking into this wind. Ooh, that one was partially blocked. It was taken on the dead run. Touchdown for Ray Odoms.
Oh, that's giving up the easy one. The Calgary Stampeders really learned something in that first half. They knew that they had to get some sort of pressure on Lou Pasaglia because he hurt them badly in the first 30 minutes, and they certainly got the pressure there. It looked like Bob Cochelle made the block, number 8.
Cochelle and Dombrowski both were in, I think, Frank. Dombrowski may have been the one that hit it, number 62.
I think you're right, Mike.
And then Ray Odoms, of course, ever alert, great speed, takes it in from there as the roof begins to cave in on the Lions.
I think this might deteriorate into a rout now.
Time for your song, I think.
It is. Oh, no, that's Meredith. Meredith does that, not me.
The point after by J.P. Hay is good. Now let's take a look one more time. It is 22-1 in favor of the Calgary Stampeders.
Louis Pasaglia, who's done such an outstanding job all season and throughout this game, was faced with a big rush by the Stampeders, and they enlarged their lead.
I don't know what you really win in this semifinal game anyway. The team that wins this football game's got to go up to Edmonton and Commonwealth Stadium and play the highest scoring team in the history of the CFL, the Eskimos, next week.
Well, won't that be a good matchup? Should it be the Stampeders, Frank? The highest scoring against one of the strongest defenses.
And just a reminder that we'll have the Eastern Conference Final for you next Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, with playoff preview a half hour before that. The Montreal Alouettes against either the Ottawa Roughriders or the Hamilton Ticats. Boy, that should be a dandy, too. J.T. Hay with the kickoff. He sends it deep. Bright is 5 yards deep in his end zone. It's out over the 20 to about the 23 as the flag comes down. You'll likely get a piling on penalty against the Stampeders. A 70-yard kickoff, a 28-yard return as Rob Koshel, number 8, is down to make the tackle.
Unnecessary roughness against Calgary.
I think he said 52. That would be Miles Gorell. Regardless, it's a 15-yard penalty, and they moved the ball out to the 38-yard line.
I thought it was Rob Forbes, number 6. Here it is right here. Take a look at it. There's number 6 right at the top of your screen. That's a guy that should have been called.
First down, Lions. They need a mass of points. Catch is made by Ellis, and he's forced out immediately by Robert Sparks at about the 46-yard line. He'll be short of the first down as we go to Bill Stevenson.
I think Billy's frozen on the far side of the field. We're not going to go to Bill Stevenson.
But you know, when you consider what the weather might have been today, this is actually a beautiful afternoon. Sun is shining brightly. It's a little chilly. The temperature about 3 or 4 degrees. It is 2nd and 2, BC at their 45 and a half. This is John Henry White has the first down over the 50 to about the 51-yard line. Al Burleson, number 27, makes the tackle.
This is one time the great penetration by Ed McElhenney actually hurts him here. Watch him. He's number 64. He's working against John Blaine, 68, the left offensive guard of Lions. Watkins actually just gets a little piece of him, the left tackle. Big penetration by McElhenney allows the Lions to pick up their first down on the ground, I believe, in the entire afternoon.
But you know, he's so effective with that aggressive pass rush. The fact that you give up a few yards now and again, you don't want to take that away from him, Frank.
Only the second first down of the ball game for the Lions. They have it at the 52-yard line. Powell going deep for Al Sharuk, cannot get it.
Well, he's getting a little more time to throw the football now anyway. Joe looks no worse for the wear for that big hit by Lyle Wozniacki in the first quarter of this ball game.
You know, with the lead that the Stampeders have now built up, there could be a bit of a sag in their defensive line, beginning to feel that they've got the game well in hand. And if they begin to feel that way, that could be dangerous because the Lions do have great speed. They have not been able to connect, obviously, offensively, but they do have the big speed and can score quickly.
If you're wondering what that was in Joe Powell's hand, it's a hand warmer. This is not his kind of weather. Powell delivers and is very nearly picked off by Robert Sparks. Well, he thought he had 6 in that.
I think he's absolutely right, too, and he's a little bit upset that he dropped it. Watch how easy a catch it should have been.
So that brings up a 3rd down as we take a look at the damage that a quarterback has to take. (22-1), Calgary over BC with 8 minutes left to play in the 3rd quarter. A game completely dominated by the Stampeders. Pasaglia very nearly had another one blocked. This is Calvin Kirk. And Kirk pulls his way out to about the 38-yard line, upset there by Glenn Leonard, number 54. It was a 32-yard punt, a 13-yard return by Kirk. And the Lions do not look very enthusiastic at this moment.
They don't have an awful lot to look to offensively in terms of where can we go back to find our greatest success, Frank. What are we going to repeat? They keep on having to try something new because they just haven't been able to strike anything so far.
And the coverage on that punt wasn't very good either.
I don't think the Stamps are going to sit on this lead, though, Pat. I really think they're going to continue to put the ball in the air and try to pile up some more points while they have the win.
Johnson throws. It is complete. That's Willie Armstead again for the first down at the 50-yard line. Ford, number 16, was there to make the stop for the Lions. What an afternoon for Willie Armstead. That's a total of 8 receptions now for 158 yards and 1 touchdown.
Well, with the exception of that one 50-yard bomb When they scored it early in the third quarter, basically Ken Johnson has just gone to those short intermediate zones.
It's a 22-1 ball game in favor of the Stampeders over the BC Lions. The CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
At Canadian Pacific, when we work in transportation, we might be in or over any one of 39 countries of the world. And when we work in resource development, we might be in or under any one of 25 countries of the world. Altogether, at Canadian Pacific, we're over or in or under 44 countries around the world. And sometimes we're even in between.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working worldwide in transportation and resources.
Well, Paul Giroux has certainly had a tough afternoon. This is the second or third time that he's been forced to leave the ball game. And in case you missed it, we gave you that Canadian Junior Championship score. The Ottawa Sooners won their second national championship with a 13-9 victory over the Regina Rams. Johnson flares it out here to Willie Burden. Burden is inside BC territory at about the 53-yard line. He'll have a gain of 7 or 8. Ford again there to make the tackle.
Pat, as you know, I love watching those offensive linemen, and watch the job that Dave Kersinger, number 69, does on this play. Just absolutely destroys newcomer Mike Blanton of the Lions. That's 21 of 29 now for Kenny Johnson. He's about 310 yards in the passing department, so he is getting great protection by that offensive line, and he's taking advantage of it.
Well, one of those offensive linemen is going to leave the ball game right now. Mike Horton, number 67, has been shaken up. Tom Forzani and Calvin Kirk also come out as Jack Goda puts in his short yardage offense. It is second and about 2.5 to 3 yards to go for the first down. The ball is at the BC 53. 6 minutes, 20 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Calgary 22, British Columbia 1. Sykes, and Sykes has the first down as he crosses the 50 into about the 49-yard line. Frank Oliver and Blanton there to make the tackle. Mike Blanton, number 79, a newcomer, a rookie from Georgia Tech.
This Lions defense really, I think you have to say, has played well considering the amount they've been on the field time and time again. They've had to come in and defend from very tough positions, but injuries, as we look at the Lions bench, have been a big factor as their 2 starting outside linebackers have had to leave the game.
First down for the Stampeders. Johnson throws. Armstead makes the catch. Down to the 25-yard line.
He made the catch 3 times.
When it's going right for you, it really goes well, doesn't it?
Pat, is he the same one and in the first half made a double catch? I think this one's a triple. Watch it. 1, 2, 3.
The gain was 24 yards. It gives the Stampeders another first down at the BC 25. But you know, when you talk about these BC Lions, that's why I offered the comment early in the first quarter. Vic Rapp said, we don't have the club that we thought we were going to have. In other words, Sam Britz is out. Tom Kudab is out. Frank Landy is out. Jerry Taggy is out. I mean, they've got an awful lot of injuries. Touchdown for James Sykes.
Just a follow-up, I think, by young Ron Moorhead, the linebacker on that side, number 44. Sykes is coming out of the backfield. He obviously is Morehouse's man, and he just runs right by him. An easy score for the Stampeders. This is going to be a real rout.
It is now. Kenny Johnson has hit 10 passes in a row.
Well, when you look at statistics at halftime being 249 yards to 0, that was the beginning of the rout. The Stampeders had not been able to put the points on the board. That was the only difference. But in this third quarter, it's turned completely around, and now they're mounting the score.
Well, this will be 21 points in this quarter if J.T. Hayes' point after is good, and it is. So it's a 29-1 ball game in favor of the Stampeders.
James Sykes against Morehouse, and there was no contest.
Let's go down to Al McCann.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a jubilant Calgary Stampeder bench now, and things are going so good for them down here that even when Mike Horton got hurt a minute ago, he wasn't that serious. He told me he just needed to get his knee pushed back a little, and trainer Alec Ruska says it's probably just a slight strain. He'll likely be back.
Thank you, Al. And speaking with Jack Goda last night, I said, Jocko, if you win this game, do you really think you've got a shot against Edmonton? He said, you better believe we've got a shot. We're healthy right now. We're playing well. We've won 7 out of 8. It's going to be 8 out of 9 after this ball game. And he said, we're ready, and that's what we've been pointing toward all season. In one 60-minute football game, anything can happen, and I like our chances. Well, we're going to find out, because that'll be next Sunday in Edmonton. Should be a good one. Larry Key allows this ball to bounce into the end zone. Picked up by John Henry White, or excuse me, Leon Bright, and he concedes a single point. Well, of course, the Lions are completely deflated right now. They're trailing by 29 points, 30-1, with 4 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Ball will come out to the 35-yard line after that single point. And the Lions, with Joe Paopao at quarterback, will start from there. A very easy touchdown for the Stampeders as Kenny Johnson picked out James Sykes, and there was just nobody between him and the goal line. Paopao delivers to Bailey, has a first down to the 48-yard line. Tackle was made by Merv Walker. Gain was 13 yards, and it is the third BC first down of the football game. Seems like Terry Bailey's been around the BC Lions forever, but I look at my chart and it's only 6 years.
You're thinking of By Bailey. He played a few years ago.
Well, you'd remember all those old guys.
Scored the first touchdown in the history of the BC Lions. By Bailey.
Paopao with the first down, delivers. Catch is made under trying circumstances by Ricky Ellis. Tackle again made by Merv Walker.
It kind of scares you. That's exactly the same kind of hit that Harry Holt suffered in the Saskatchewan game that put him out for the rest of the year.
You know, I'll tell you, though, if the BC Lions could come back and get a touchdown, it would show that they've got a lot of pride, a lot of heart. They trailed by a 30-1 count. Nothing is insurmountable, I suppose, but it would be unrealistic, I think, to assume they can win this game. They have a 2nd and 2 right now. Toss goes to Key. Ed McElhenney was there, so was Burleson, and they nail him for a loss.
I'll tell you, Bertie Morrison's a little bit upset with himself that he doesn't make the tackle, but he's the reason the play does not work. If we start it up right now, you see the great penetration that he gets. He beats John Henry White's block. He forces Larry Key to the outside and for further depth, and then a great pursuit by McElhenney coming all the way from the other side, that defensive tackle spot. Just a super defensive football club, Mike. I think that's the reason that they really do have a chance against the Edmonton Eskimos next week. That great defensive unit.
Absolutely. They'll cause turnovers and create mistakes, and that'll allow them to come on even if there are some problems with their offense. Right now, it doesn't look like there are too many.
Larry Key rushed for 1,060 yards this season. He's gained 4 yards so far today. Kelvin Kirk allows the ball to bounce back to about the 12-yard line, then picks it up and gets to about the 15, and that's where the Stampeders will start from. Well, the score is Calgary 30, BC 1, and we'll continue in a moment.
Thank you. At Canadian Pacific, we look at our business as a pretty simple one.
We do 2 things. That's right. Basically, we work at 2 things.
We're in the transportation business.
We're in the resource development business. Simple, isn't it?
Transportation.
Resources.
But there's one thing that's not so simple about what we do.
It's doing it well.
When you're in transportation, that's a big job.
Developing resources takes a lot of know-how.
Transportation. Resources.
At Canadian Pacific, we got 2 jobs.
We work in transportation and resources.
You see, our business is really a rather simple one, except for one thing.
You have to really know your job.
You have to do it well.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation.
And resources.
A lot of nice-looking folks cheering on these Calgary Stampeders this afternoon.
Boogie, boogie.
They've had a lot to cheer about. It's 30-1 for Calgary. With 2 minutes, 35 seconds left to play in this third quarter. It was 8-1 at halftime, and the Stampeders have simply exploded in this third quarter. They have the wind at their back. Johnson going deep for Calvin Kirk. He's got it. Kirk is down to the Calgary 33-yard line.
That's only about 62 yards.
In behind the coverage for 62 yards. You're right.
I believe that was Ken Hinton, Frank. I'm not certain it was in coverage, but Ken Johnson has served notice on the Edmonton Eskimos that we can go deep because he has twice in this third quarter.
Calvin Kirk is the injured ball player as we go down to Bill Stevenson.
I've got Jerry Taggy with me. Jerry is the injured quarterback of the BC Lions. It's a tough spot to be in. Well, I speak now not just of you, but of the Lions, Jerry.
Yes, it is. They beat us pretty good in the offensive and defensive lines, and offensively we couldn't generate anything and couldn't give Joe or Mike any protection, and it's really hurting us.
What's the offense going to try to do now that you're down 30-1?
Well, we've got absolutely nothing to lose now. We're going to have to break up formation, throw every down, and hopefully get some continuity. And if we can get a touchdown, maybe two, respectability maybe.
Is that wind bothering Joe Pow?
Well, throwing into it, it's very tough. And like you say, the thing that's really bothering them is lack of pass protection because defensively, their defensive line has really controlled our offensive line.
Thank you very much, Jerry Taggy.
Thank you.
Jerry Taggy, quarterback, who is injured and must undergo an operation after the season. All right, Pat.
First down, Calgary from the 33. The give is to Willie Burton. And Burton gets to about the 30 for a gain of 3 yards, make it 2nd and 7.
Calvin Kirk came up with that big reception. It may have been costly. He's on the sideline being attended to right now. It appears to be a leg. The nature of the injury we're not aware of.
But our man on the spot is right there. That's Al McCann you're looking at.
Down here with Calvin Kirk after that big catch. They're checking Kelvin's ankle on the outside of the ankle. They're going to cut the bandages off. It's probably just a sprain, but they're going to double check it now. Kelvin's in some pain.
Kenny Johnson, who's hit his last 11 in a row, makes it 12. As Willie Armstead gets a first down to the 15-yard line. Glenn Jackson was there to make the tackle for the Lions. Johnson is approaching 450 yards passing today.
We're going to be able to throw that little curl or hook almost all afternoon. Glenn Jackson can't cover all of the hook zones. Doug Seymour is used to being in a three-point stance, not dropping back, and they're throwing in that same area a lot.
You know, Mike, they came into the ballgame wanting to throw that kind of pattern, and they started off the ballgame like that. I don't really think they're taking advantage of the fact that the Lions have had injuries. That was their game plan all along.
Bob Lubick is in at the right offensive guard spot in place of the injured Mike Horton for Calgary, as the Stampeders are now called on a time count violation. Too long putting the ball into play. That comes with just 34 seconds left to play in this third quarter.
Time count violation. Calgary down to Peter.
So they lose the 5 yards, repeat the down. The ball is back to the 20-yard line. 1st and 15, Calgary. They are out in front 30-1 and appear on their way to the Western Conference Final against the Edmonton Eskimos. Johnson throws, touchdown, Mike McCann. A flag is down, so was Kenny Johnson.
What a catch.
What a throw.
Two defenders right there.
Number 37, BC applied on the kickoff.
Glenn Jackson called for rough play, and that penalty will, as you heard the officials say, be marked off on the opening kickoff. Watch this hit by Doug Carlson after the reception. McTagg does a super job to hold on to the football.
Outstanding.
Mike McTagg scores his first professional touchdown. Beautiful catch, outstanding throw by Kenny Johnson. And now it's just a matter of by how much are they going to win. The point after by J.T. Hay is good. It is a 37-1 ball game in favor of the Stampeders over the Lions.
The Calgary Stampeders have put 29 points on the board in the last 14 and a half minutes. We've got 29 seconds left in the third quarter. And watch once again McTagg hold on to that football. He actually beat Joe Forqueen on the play.
The hotel this morning, you said you thought that the Stampeders could win by 20. You underestimated them.
What was it that the Root Fan Survey and the Radio Shack computer had said before the ball game? I think 6 points or something. I think we're going to go back and recompute that.
37-1. That's the score in favor of the Stampeders. The penalty against Glenn Jackson for rough play is tacked on now. So J.T. Hay will tee it up at the 50-yard line of the Lions. And if he wants to, he can probably kick this one all the way downtown.
You know, the first game I ever played in this stadium, Pat, we were tied on the last play of the game, and Charlie Shepard, our punter, actually kicked the ball right out of the ballpark. And I think you're right. I think McTagg could do it right here on the kickoff.
Ray Odoms is going to have to hold it because the ball keeps blowing off the tee.
J.T. Hay, I'm sorry. We said McTagg.
Yeah. McTagg has kicked field goals in his day, but J.T. Hay handles that responsibility for the Stampeders. It's a short one. They were trying, actually, for the onside kick. This is the newcomer, number 7, Ricky Ellis. And Ellis gets it back to about the 36 or 37-yard line. Just a 25-yard kickoff by Hay, an 11-yard return by Ellis. And if they were going for the onside kick, it's not a very nice thing to do when you're leading 37-1.
You know what, Pat? I was just wondering about the strategy of that. They've lumped it on the Lions pretty well so far, and I know that sometimes when you're in playoffs, you want to get your team with the great momentum, and you want to have them confident, especially going into Edmonton next week. But nonetheless, there's still a point where you say, all right, boys, enough's enough.
Powell's going to have to throw virtually on every down now, but they're going to have to catch them if it's going to be of any use.
Well, Pat, Johnny Esau just pointed out to me in the Calgary Stampeders' last 2 football games, they've beaten the opponents so far 78-1. Or 78-8. They beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course, 41-8. Well, they have been pretty dominant. It's the end of the third quarter now of the Calgary Stampeders leading 37-1, and the CFL on CTV will be back in just a moment.
When you take a quick look at what we do at Canadian Pacific, you may see a lot of people doing a lot of different jobs. But when you take a second look, it all comes down to 2 things: resource development and transportation. Transportation and resources. At Canadian Pacific, we think a quick look at what we do is fine, but we hope you'll think we're worth a second look, because we believe transportation and resources are important to every one of us. Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation?
And resources.
One of the Royal Bank's most successful customers is in the newspaper business. She doesn't own them, she delivers them. For 3 years, 13-year-old Liz Hengen has been delivering the daily paper to the people in Windthorst, Saskatchewan. The Royal Bank sees Liz regularly, but at the bank, she's not just delivering, she's collecting interest on over $1,000 in her savings account. Adding to your success is what the Royal Bank is here for. After all, when you succeed, we succeed.
We're back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Joe Powell was looking for a first down on this pass, doesn't get it.
Tried to roll right. He had Ricky Ellis split to the top of your screen. Coming back into the middle, but Walker, number 26, had very good coverage on him. The ball thrown a little too high.
Well, they've got the wind at their back now. The Stampeders scored 29 points when they had that favorable win. The question is, can the Lions score 36? It's 3rd and 10. Louis Pasaglia will be punting. You saw them working on Calvin Kirk's knee. Now, this one is in orbit. I mean, it's into the end zone. It looked like it was going to go right out of the park. A tremendous punt by Louis.
That kick's only about 93, 94 yards, that's all.
89 yards.
89 yards. That's the highlight of BC Lions this afternoon, unfortunately. Lou Pasaglia has been the only bright spot.
Beginning of the 29 points.
That's right. Let's go to Al McCann.
Well, the injury to Kelvin Kirk is about the only dampening thing on an otherwise great Calgary afternoon. His ankle is sprained, and it's a little worse probably. They first feared. They put ice on it now. Kelvin won't play anymore today. Alec Ruska says hopefully he'll be able to play next week in Edmonton.
Thank you, Al. That single point, 89 yards by Louis Pasaglia, makes it a 37-2 count. And this is Forbes as he makes his first carry of the ball game to about the 38. A flag came down on the play. Let's wait and see what it's about.
It's like a holding call against the Stamps.
Rob Forbes is a Canadian running back.
Holding. Calgary number 56. Down repeated.
Tom Krebs, the offensive center, was called for holding. I was going to tell you about Rob Forbes. Rob Forbes. He's a Canadian boy who was at the camp of the New England Patriots and apparently played very, very well. Ended up coming back to Calgary. And they just think he's going to be a great one in years to come. Again, this is Forbes. And he's forced out at about the 33-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. Frank Oliver was there to make the stop.
Well, newcomer Mike Blanton, who played in only his second game for the BC Lions, just gets caught up in here by Bob Lubick, number 54. That's who they go by. Blanton is just tied up by Lubick. Got good penetration, but my back went right by him, and he didn't even see it. Good run by Forbes.
Morehouse had a little trouble getting rid of his block, too. He wasn't filling very much for a linebacker.
Got another BC Lion injury. It's Seymour, number 61.
Seymour's had a real problem. He's been out for a couple of weeks with the Lions. An injury just above his Achilles on the back of his leg, and it's been extremely painful. Nothing but rest has helped it. He's been called into service today because of all of the other injuries to the Lions.
John Beaton was knocked out early in the first part of this ball game. Then Paul Giroux has been taken out. It is second and about 2 yards to go for the first down. Give us to Forbes once again. He has to get to the 35. Now, did he make it or not?
You know how desperate things are for the BC Lions at this point in time. They've got Mark Houghton, number 70, playing linebackers. You take a look at Glenn Jackson in the middle. Houghton was the tight end, starting tight end the last couple of weeks for the Lions. Now he's being pressed into service as a linebacker. I don't think he even works out at that spot.
I'll tell you, it's a great opportunity to get experience, though, Frank.
Oh, sure. Sure, he'll remember a lot from 15 minutes of linebacking spot by the time the Lions get together 8 months from now.
McTagg's boot bounces beyond Bright. He picks it up and gets to about the 40. And that's where the Lions will start with 12:34 left in the ball game. 37-2, Calgary out in front. A 40-yard boot by McTagg, a 3-yard return. And I really have been amazed, though, at the lack of efficiency in the BC Lions offense when you consider that they've got some pretty talented people. Leon Bright hasn't caught a pass. Larry Key and John Henry White, I don't believe, have caught a pass. Bright has not. Al Sharuk hasn't. Joe Powell drops the ball, but the Lions have recovered it at about their 33-yard line.
He was hit, Pat, very forcefully, and Wozniacki, I believe, was one of the initial people in, Frank. He's had a very good game for the Stampeders this afternoon.
Well, the throwing Samoan's going to have lumps all over him after today.
But you know, you're talking about different receivers who have not caught a pass. Certainly that's surprising. But I would have thought, again, the running game they would have tried to establish early. They did not with their 2 fine running backs. Look what they have not done this afternoon.
Larry Watkins recovered that fumble for BC. He had 2nd and 15. The pass very nearly picked off by Terry Irvin.
That time it was McElhenney in on Paw, and McElhenney, number 64, has had just an outstanding afternoon. He's working against John Blaine, number 68. Paw does have time to release this football, but he paid for it. Looked like an easy interception by Terry Irving, number 28. They dropped a couple of them. Sparks dropped one earlier in the third quarter of this ball game that he should have picked off.
This is the 11th punt for Louis Pasaglia this afternoon. The last one he kicked 89 yards. This time he throws. The pass is caught by number 70, Mark Houghton.
That's a first down.
Well, no point in punting the ball when you trail by 35 points, and that is the story. 37-2, Calgary out in front of BC, and we'll continue in a moment.
We took your favorite full-size car, the new Chevrolet, and made it right for the 80s in Chevrolet's kind of way.
The 1980 Chevrolet Caprice and Impala, new aerodynamic design, new V6 engine and new tire technology, and the best fuel efficiency estimates ever in a full-size Chevrolet. Right for the 80s, right for you.
Right for the 80s, it's a new Chevrolet.
At General Motors, we're committed to leadership in fuel efficiency.
Make a pass by and by, make it last by and by. Catch the wind that's sweeping low. Skim the surf, the rest below. Swing around and back you go. Make a pass, make it last. Almost time to let go. Take the time to share a blue. Take a while to share a smile. 'Cause when you're smiling.
You know, called by many people the best athlete on the entire roster of the BC Lions, Louis Pasaglia, and he just dumps the ball over to Mark Houghton and makes a good catch. First down for BC.
Listen to this statistic. 515 yards offense for Calgary, 33 for BC. Pau throws. Al Sharuk tried to make a diving catch down around the 30, but was unable to come up with the ball. But, you know, it's got to be a tremendous disappointment for the Lions, who had really a very, very good season. As you look at the three-quarter statistics, 515 to 33. Look at that passing yardage. 456 on 26 completions out of 34 attempts for Kenny Johnson, and that really is the story of the ball game. But I was going to say, Riggs, you see them so often. The Lions had a good year. They won 9 ball games, lost only 6, tied 1. What a way to go out.
It's certainly been too bad, and the whole last month has been a disappointment for the Lions. At one point, they were 9-2-1 and very much in the contention for first place.
We haven't seen this very much this afternoon, where they swing Larry Key out of there, throw him the football, and maybe that's why, because Calgary was all over him, and they contained him to a gain of about 2 yards.
You talk about the performance over the season, Frank. Defensively, as we look at yet another injured player, this time of the Stampeders, Ken Dombrowski, who's been a big factor in their defensive success. But to get back to the Lions and some of the astounding figures that Pat was just pointing out, the Lions were not a bad defensive football team. They ranked 5th in the Canadian Football League this year, which is not great. That was never their strength, but it's respectable. But this afternoon, they've been on the field throughout, and when that happens to you, you're going to have an awful lot of things go against you.
Well, I think we pointed out at halftime during the highlights that the Lions really played very well defensively in the first half. They were on the field, as you say, the whole time. They didn't give up a touchdown. They had numerous opportunities for field goals against them, but it was because of field position. So, you know, they really have fallen apart now in the third quarter, however, because of that, being on the field just too much.
Guess who's got the football? Reggie Lewis and the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, you have to feel sorry for Joe Pawpaw and the beating he's taken. Once again, it's Lyle Wozniacki beating Jim Lohman, I should say, 55, the right offensive tackle. Very reminiscent of the first quarter when Wozniacki sacked the young quarterback of the Lions twice and put him out of the ball game.
Well, you know, we were talking about the great yardage that Kenny Johnson has piled up, and I'm sure a lot of people were wondering if he's close to a record. Peter Young points out that Sam Etcheverry has the single game record in the CFL, 586 yards. I would doubt very much if Johnson will approach that this afternoon, because at this moment he's got 456. He needs 130, and I doubt that he'll put it up that much, will he?
2 more to Kirk, and he's got it.
Yeah.
That's Joe Pawpaw down on the field, hurt once again. Lions, and you really do feel sorry for the beating he's taken.
Gotta feel a little sorry for Coach Vic Rapp, because he and his coaching staff have brought the Lions along to be a very competitive, respectable football team, but this afternoon, injuries and other factors have just caused them to collapse totally.
The Stampeders take over at the BC 44-yard line, leading 37-2 with 9.5 minutes left to play in the ball game. The draw goes to Rob Forbes, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe.
Calgary bench, of course, they have a little different feeling. They're looking forward to Edmonton already. You can hardly wait for this fourth quarter to wind down and to get on with the business at hand. A close look and a sad look at Joe Pow, who's had a very long and difficult afternoon.
It is 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders. Johnson going deep for Armstead. It is picked off by Frank Oliver. Oliver steps out of bounds at the 32-yard line, and that's where the Lions will take over. A 19-yard return of that interception by Frank Oliver.
Well, that was a great prediction by you, Pat. You said they wouldn't put the ball in the air much more. Johnson goes right back, trying to hit Willie Armstead deep, overthrows it rather badly. Oliver picks it off. You know, the Lions are so desperate. They've got young Hal Lund, who is a defensive back in at linebacker now, number 3, and I'm sure that he's never played that spot.
I said they wouldn't put the ball in the air?
I think you said he wouldn't get the record because he wouldn't put it up again, right?
First down for the Lions. This is not a quarterback. He throws. The pass is caught up at the 50 or 51-yard line by Leon Bright. And that is his first reception of the ball game. It's good for 19 yards.
What a disappointment for the Lions. Losers of only 2 football games in the first 3 quarters of the season. Tough way to go out.
But you know what? They're kind of game. I mean, they're still in there. They know they can't overcome the Calgary Stampeders, but they want to at least gain a little bit of respect out of this thing.
Mike Knott's got quite an arm, Mike. I don't know how much you've seen him so far this year. He hasn't played all that much, but a very strong arm.
Your mind reading again, Riggs. I was just thinking that. He's an impressive-looking young fellow. Pass goes incomplete on that particular occasion, but in the time that he's been in the ball game this afternoon, he's generated a little bit of offense. We've got 7 minutes, 43 seconds left, and now many of this crowd of 35,000 are heading for the exits, and why not? It's 37-2 in favor of the Stampeders.
Well, I hope the folks at home won't leave us. You got to stay tuned. You don't know if your pool ticket's going to win or not, folks.
I'd stay tuned because I'd like to see how Kenny Johnson can do when he gets the ball back for the Stampeders. Knott fires. It is caught for another first down, and I believe that's Al Sharuk. Let's just wait and see. It was. Sharuk makes the catch for the first down up at the Calgary 46-yard line. That's the score, 37-2. We'll be back in a moment.
I just can't wait. I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Oh no, I just can't wait.
Count on Radio Shack for hundreds of gift ideas, like our remote control vehicles, from a Grand Prix racer to a van with headlights that really work. When you just can't wait to give, it's got to be a gift from Radio Shack.
Can't wait for joy, can't hold it back. Can't wait to get a gift from Radio Shack. Can't wait. Radio Shack. Can't wait.
We're back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the ball game. The Stampeders have a lock on it, 37-2. The Lions trying to get a major score. Let's see if they can. They have a first down at the Calgary 46-yard line. Knott goes down in the arms of Ed McElhenney, but Reggie Lewis was there. A lot of people were there. They played so well defensively all afternoon.
You're absolutely right. Look at the pressure that Reggie Lewis puts on initially. He's the one that causes a sack. They now put John Blaine at the left offensive tackle, put Watkins out of the football game. Blake is at left offensive guard, but Reggie Lewis, who has really not been as dominant a factor in this ball game as it usually is, Mike.
He could take a little bit more of an inside course there because he had Palizzetti coming in from the outside as the Stampeders continue to heap pressure on the BC quarterbacks. They're coming in with a blitz. They don't want to give him any life at all.
loss was 10 yards, and he's second and 20. Lewis is on top of Mott instantly. And I'll say this much for Reggie, he let up. He didn't try to hurt the BC quarterback, and he really could have taken it.
Absolutely a sportsmanlike play by Reggie Lewis, number 60. Obviously jumped off sides, but if that whistle doesn't blow, you've got to complete the play.
There's an indication of what you gentlemen are talking about. Mike Knott went over to Lewis and indicated that he appreciated that little consideration.
Offside. Calgary, number 60. Second down over.
Well, they pick up 5 yards on it. Second down repeated.
McElhaney offside. Lewis, of course, into the backfield. It appeared before the ball was even snapped.
Ball is at the Calgary 51, second and 15 for the BC Lions. 5:50 left to play in the game. Knott was hit just as he released the ball. He wanted to go deep to Ricky Ellis, but his arm was hit by Andy Jonason just as he was firing, number 47.
They're all into the act. Little end and tackle stunt. Jonason, number 47, comes free. They had the linebackers in again. You saw Bernie Morrison come from the outside. He used up one blocker. So when Jonason came free, there was no one else to pick him up.
It'll be 3rd and 15.
I think they should put Pasaglia in there.
You're so in tune with my thoughts. I was going to say they should put their passing offense with Lou Pasaglia in there.
Oh, come on, Pat. Just because I say it.
Well, they're going to sort this one out. There was a procedure call against the BC Lions, so the 5 yards that they picked up on the offside, they'll give back now. Were you thinking that too?
No, I wasn't at all. You think I'm going to associate myself with you two guys? You're crazy.
BC, down repeated.
There's a look at Gail Smythe, who was on our opening with the Brute fan survey, telling us that the fans felt the Stampeders would win it. Well, the fans were right again. They put it through the Radio Shack computer, and they came out with the right answers again. 3rd and 20. Knott goes deep, and Ellis cannot squeeze it down at the 20-yard line.
I think Terry Irvin got a piece of that football. Ricky Ellis tried to go up and make the reception. Take a look at it once again. Irving has man coverage on Ellis coming from the wide position on the left side there.
But you know, Frank, you and Pat have both made the point before. Ricky Ellis, his first game, he's been the man they've gone to repeatedly. Why is it they are not going to people like Leon Bright? The kind of speed and
I really
success
didn't understand that either, Mike. When we brought the point up initially, Ellis dropped the very first football that was thrown to him that could have gotten something going very early for the Lions, but they have gone to him rather consistently.
Well, the Stampeders now just trying to run down the clock a little bit. 4 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the ball game. They are comfortably out in front, 37-2, and they'll go to Edmonton next week for the second year in a row. Those two teams will meet in the Western Conference Final. Be interesting to see what happens. What a tremendous football club the Eskimos have. Very entertaining, solid at every position. Calgary showed a lot today. Should be a good one. Johnson fires it out to Rob Forbes. And Forbes gets to the BC 45-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and about 1.5 yards to go. Let's go down to Al McCann.
I got Terry Irvin here. Terry, great day for the defense.
Oh, yeah, we're getting a good job out of that front four up there, you know, and they set the tempo of the game. You know, if they're going good, that kind of make the rest of the game, you know, fall in place. You know?
Should be quite a game next week in Edmonton, eh?
Oh, yeah, we're looking forward to it right now. You know, it's all in the air now. We're looking forward to going up to Edmonton and taking on the Eskimos.
Okay, Terry.
Well, on 3rd and 1.5 yards, Kenny Johnson and the Calgary Stampeders are going to go for it. They give it to James Sykes, and he doesn't make the first down. He got to the 45, and maybe inside of it, but he does not appear to have the necessary yardage as the defensive unit of the Stampeders comes back out onto the field. And the BC Lions come out now with Mike Knott at quarterback. 3 minutes and 33 seconds left to play in this Western Conference sudden death semifinal. And make sure that you're with us next Saturday, because it's a game you just won't want to miss when the Montreal Alouettes, who are really coming into their own right now, will host either the Ottawa Rough Riders or the Hamilton Ticats in the Eastern Conference final. The winner goes to the Grey Cup, of course. Joe Paopao started the game for BC, was banged up a couple of times. Mike Knott is now in there, number 12. And he's going deep for Bright, but it was over his head. Robert Sparks was step for step with the wide receiver of the BC Lions. 37-2 is the score in favor of the Calgary Stampeders with 3 minutes, 8 seconds left to play in the ball game, and the CFL on CTV continues in a moment.
Every second that passes, your skin is losing moisture. And when your skin loses moisture, it looks rough and out of condition. Moisture. This product contains moisturizers to put back the moisture in your skin. Brute Light by Fabergé. Use it as a lotion after shaving, after showering, or as a light masculine fragrance after anything. Brute Light. It's the sensible way to fight dry skin and smell great.
Want to see what's going to get the Cutlass watchers watching you this year? The new Olds Cutlass Sedan. 2 more doors to go with all that Cutlass flair. And Cutlass Cruiser, roomiest Cutlass of all. And the car that started the Cutlass watchers a-watching, Cutlass Supreme.
Hi, Charlie. Miss your bus?
We've had one built for you. Oldsmobile.
Many people in Ottawa are probably under the impression that tomorrow's game against the Hamilton Ticats is a sellout. It is not. There are still tickets available, and that should be just one of the great football games of the year. The Rough Riders with Conrad Holloway against the Ticats and Tom Clements. Knott throws. The pass is complete to Al Sharuk at the Calgary 51-yard line, and that is good for a first down. Forced out by Terry Irvin. Who do you like in that ball game tomorrow, gentlemen?
Frank, you first. Pat, I really haven't had an opportunity to see the Eastern ball clubs as much as you two gentlemen, but certainly I know the Tom Clements has revitalized the Hamilton Ticats a great deal, but I'd still have to go with the Ottawa Rough Riders as long as Conrad Holloway is healthy at all.
It should be a real air show, no doubt about that. John Henry White. White has the first down into the 41-yard line.
Longest run from the line of scrimmage by the BC Lions by far. 12 yards by John Henry White. He had a great year for the Lions, you know. He was actually nominated as a Shenley nominee from BC for the outstanding player of the BC Lions. Tied Larry Key in receptions for the year, #1 on the ball club, and was second to Key in yardage rushing.
The Lions refuse to quit as Al Sharuk makes the reception into about the 28-yard line, and that'll be another first down. Ray Odoms makes the tackle.
Well, I'd like to remind everybody that on November the 17th, we're going to see a rematch of the August Welterweight Championship fight. That was Clyde Gray and Chris Clark. Clark, if you recall, won it. Gray had trouble with the time. Gray is putting his Canadian welterweight title on the line, and the winner of the fight is going to be the Canadian. Let me tell you, a great fight to look forward to. You'll see it on Wide World of Sports, November the 7th.
That was a good pass by Knott. Unfortunately, it was a little long.
I think he's a little interference by Sparks.